Welcome everybody to Arsenal Fan Circle. You're all welcome. It's a Thursday night forum. Pull up a chair. You're all welcome here. And we have to report Arsenal have exited the Champions League at the quarterfinal stage. Look, once you get here, I had the expectations of getting to the quarterfinals for sure. So at the beginning of the season, that would have been a good finish for me in the Champions League. But once you get into these types of games and you see Bayern Munich, limping along in the Bundesliga, not doing very well, and we were going very well into this first leg. We were going very well, but I have to say, Thomas Tuchel and Bayern Munich, you have to say they hoodwinked us a little bit. They had a little bit more nous at the end of the day, and we made some fatal mistakes. So at the end of the day, if you make mistakes in this competition and you leak goals, especially at home, that home leg in the first 30 minutes, you're going to pay for it at some point in time. And that's what happened to Arsenal this midweek. So we exit at the quarterfinal stage. And I think in the end, we're maybe denied the glamour tie that we wanted at the end. And I'm minded by what Stan said last week. There are levels to this. And looking at the quality of Man City and Real Madrid, would we have even survived the Real Madrid? But we would have liked to have moved on, that's for sure. I'll give Stan a second to get settled in and bring Lawrence in. So, Lawrence, what are your thoughts on this game? Champions League exit at the hands of Bayern Munich.
Disappointed, angry, frustrated. I said at the beginning of the season that if we didn't end up with a trophy, then Arteta has to go. And again, when it really matters, when it comes down to the business end of the season, we're bottling it. Okay, the second season in a row. I can see Stan waiting to put my name on his list. He's welcome to do that. But I've had enough of this.
Gary, you can vote with your pen as well if you wish to.
Well, I mean, this man has had 11 transfer windows to strengthen the team, and he's not done it in any of them transfer windows. He had the opportunity. He had the opportunity at the start of the season to sign Yuri Tillemans from Leicester, who was on a free transfer, which is what we needed, right? And he decided the best thing for Arsenal was to spend 68 million on a Chelsea sloppy second. He then decides to disrupt the goalkeeping situation by bringing in David Raya. And what David Raya has done recently, by charging 30 yards out of his goal area in the first leg when it wasn't needed, just proves to me that Aaron Ramsdale is the better keeper. Okay, and I know Gary's going to have a response to that. This manager, he's got no tactical nous. Again, poor substitutions. Right? He brings on Eddie Nketiah with 5 minutes to go and sticks him out on the left wing. When we're desperately trying to get back in the game, we're putting all our big players up at the end of the pitch to sling in a free kick. What do? We play it short. When he decides to bring David Raya up in the last minute for a corner, what does Bukayo Saka do? He can't even get the ball past the first man. It's just not acceptable. Right? I'm sorry, right? That we had moments in the game in the first half. Again, first half we played well. We had some moments. Martinelli should have scored. But the second half, again, we didn't lay one glove on their goalkeeper. Their goalkeeper could have been sat in a deck chair having a barbecue in that second half. And it's time for Arteta to go. I'm sorry, because I can see the toxicity coming back into our fan base. I've seen it on Facebook. I've seen it on Twitter. The sections of our fan base are now divided again because of the incompetency of this man, whose only experience is sticking cones on the ground.
Okay. Listen, we'll dig into that a little bit. Listen, Gary's getting settled in, so we will give Stan his first opportunity to speak. Stan.
Well, I'm kind of right at the other end of the scale there from where Lawrence is. Obviously, of course, I'm disappointed that we didn't go any further. But when I was looking at our return into the Champions League, I felt, well, if we can get to the quarterfinals and get past the group of 16 and get to the quarterfinals, I think that would be progress, seeing as we haven't been in this competition long enough, for quite some time. And something that I really noticed about the game yesterday, and it kept happening time and time again, and was something that I really did like, was that we were able to win that ball back quite a lot of times in dangerous areas. We were constantly winning the ball back. The problem is that we've got a toothless attack at the moment. We're just not able sometimes to get that ball in the back of the net. I understand that Lawrence has a lot of frustrations, and I do as well. I don't understand why he needed to change the starting lineup and just decides to just let Gabriel Jesus walk back into the side when we had a winning formula. I'm more for one where I like to see players earn their way back into the squad by coming off the bench, making meaningful contributions to give the managers something to think about. But he just basically chauffeured Gabriel Jesus right back into the side, which I think was a big mistake. And it was one that I didn't quite understand. And also as well, he done that Wenger thing, didn't he? Of putting all of the attackers that we had available onto the pitch. But by doing that, he takes out the midfield. So we have a load of attackers on who can't get the ball back now. Now we don't have players who can get the ball back, and they can't get onto the ball because we don't have a midfield working to try and get the ball and then trying to create opportunities. So I've seen all of that before with Wenger. He's dealt with, I call it the kitchen sink, you know what I mean? When there's nothing left and he just throws the kitchen sink in there to hope that he's going to get a goal. I think the manager did get it wrong in some of the decisions in the lineup and the way that the game was managed. But I'm not furious about it because I didn't expect to win the competition in our first time back. I wanted us to go as far as we could. And it seems that at the moment, this team is only good enough right now to get to a quarter final. And I just hope that, Lawrence has mentioned 11 windows. It's an uneven number. I like 12. 12 is a nice round number. So hopefully when we get to that 12th window, we're going to spend and do what we need to do to finish this team off, because there is still a few pieces missing. But yes, I'm disappointed, but I'm not furious, if that makes any sense. I didn't expect us to win the competition.
Yep. Okay, Gary, what do you think?
Yeah.
I
mean, when I sit there and I get frustrated about where we stand and where we're, what the results of, for example, the Champions League quarterfinals, I go back and I remember, what I thought how this season would end in terms of what I thought would be a good season for us. And to tell you the truth, none of it involved us getting a trophy, because I didn't think we even had a squad deep enough to even do that. So yes, the trophy is good, but if you're looking at it from where we were at the end of last season, and with the additions we got this, in the window, we were still short. I mean, now you can tell we're even short. That I always kidded about 10 players short. Based on the way that this team is set up right now, we're at least 9 short, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's watching the game. I'm like the first half, as this, I heard toothless. Yep. I mean, I during a watch along said, they just lack the effort. Like you need to do a little bit extra to break down a defense that is set up the way they were. And for me, that took a little bit of extra effort, which I didn't see it. Now, are they tired? Are they worn out? I mean, there's a lot of things that the team look like. It looked like they are tired, and it looks like Arteta doesn't trust anybody but the 12 or 13 players that he has on his list that we see play consistently and start and come off the bench first and all of that. So as disappointing as the loss was, I just don't think we have the numbers, and we're back to that again. Yeah, we are short. We are short. We're going to put Erdegaard and Saka and Rice and Gabriel and Saliba out there every game because Arteta thinks he doesn't have anything else, and I think they just have to fight through, and they don't. I don't think they have the mental capacity yet as still young players to just be able to. Oops, we lost Lawrence to the. Didn't like what I said, I guess. And I don't think
I'm
we have
sure it wasn't
the mental fortitude yet to be able to play under duress, meaning tired, worn out, and beat up, and all of that kind of stuff. And so I think we're still short, and I think that's we're seeing it now. I mean, we've seen the last 3 games, basically the second half of the games, haven't been able to give 100, give all that we got. We haven't had as many answers as we would have liked to see some things through. I mean, we looked good in the Bayern Munich home match. We were able to get the draw there. Well, the first half, you're like, I think we just have these poor halves, which affect us because we don't score on them, even though we're looking good. Another first half where they were going to let us do whatever they wanted. I mean, the blueprint's out, right? Villa basically showed it. Arsenal, look, you put a little bit of you set up your defense a certain way, they will not break through. I mean, I was game on now. Every other pass it seemed was backwards.
You'll get a chance.
Right?
Yeah,
it's hard to attack when you're constantly going backwards and resetting and letting the defense settle, and it kills any kind of progress that you make up the pitch. So I don't know if that was the plan, but I don't. That could have been just where those players are, but I think Arteta needs to put a little fire onto these guys because they're going to need to break through and at least get a couple of scores, and then we'll see how they do. But watching them go like fruitless and in games not being able to score like we have in the past, I think it's hurting us mentally. So
yeah.
I don't. I mean, I would like to think it was easy. It's easier said than done. Ramsdale. I was just about to say Ramsdale or Raya, one of the two makes a difference. I don't think either one of them makes that significant of a difference. They both have the flaws. They both have their holes in their game. So, do we need a world-class goalkeeper? Probably. Is that the biggest difference from what we got? Is that the issue we have right now? I don't think so. I don't think it's that big of an issue. I mean, the defense is able to get threaded through pretty easy, and the goalkeeper sees that, and that makes it even tougher for him to, to do what he does. So, I think it's it's more than one thing.
As Michael said, he's been reading some hate regarding David Raya right now. Listen, clearly he makes a mistake in the first game for that first goal. I don't think you could characterize what's happening to Arsenal as bottling it. We haven't bottled anything yet, and that term, we haven't won a fixture against Bayern Munich. We haven't bottled a lead over Manchester City yet, a huge lead, and there's still plenty of season to go here. The fact we were bringing on Eddie Nketiah to get his goal in the Champions League quarterfinals shows the junk Arteta's working with. So, Red John, you've actually just you understand the situation that we are working with some junk in Eddie Nketiah, and Lawrence has mentioned 11 windows. Well, we've had to overhaul a squad who was fighting for FA Cups, and you wanted more All of us wanted more. We wanted to be competing for leagues and Champions Leagues, and this is where we are. We're competing, albeit in the Champions League, not at the highest level, but the first season back in 7 or 8 years to be in a quarterfinal is probably not a bad showing at the end of the day. And we are just 2 points behind Manchester City with 6 games to go. And all of that, having a player like Eddie Nketiah, who you're going to throw out there with 5 minutes to go and ask him to do something as if he was Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp.
I
You know what I mean?
don't believe that was the ask. You guys are making that seem like that was the ask. That wasn't it.
Well,
There's no way he put Nketiah out there to go, all right, go get me the game, a game tying goal. I don't think that was even mentioned.
right. Arteta's working with junk, but he also bought Havertz, who was junk. I did not contradict myself. Fabio Vieira also 40 million and plus worth of junk. You can spend the money on the player, and then just because you spend 65 million on a player doesn't mean you're getting a world beater these days. Just because you spend 40 million on a player, Fabio Vieira, who's been injured for most of the season. What are we expecting from Fabio Vieira right now? Not a whole lot, right? I think if Arteta's not a simpleton, he will learn a hell of a lot about the team, said Michael. Red John is also bought well. Wenger bought a lot of squad players. So we expected Mikel Arteta and Edu to go out and identify the best players that are going to work perfectly in our system each and every time. Anytime you take a punt on a player, it is a punt on a player. You're taking a chance that he's going to fit into your system. He's going to adapt well. Somebody like Ødegaard has taken a couple of years for us to see his value in the team. Declan Rice, you could see his quality, but we're asking Declan Rice to do a lot in midfield when, as Gary said, we have a squad of 12, 13 players. And now, as Lauren said, we see a division in the fans. Well, I think it's a loud minority, to be fair. I think it's 10% of the fan base that are now starting to pipe up again about Mikel Arteta. And let me put this one to you before I bring Gary, Lawrence, and Stan back in. If you're going to sack Arteta, which is not what I'm saying to do, but people are saying that, are you confident you can go and get a manager that can take us forward? If you believe that's the extra couple of steps, or would we regress with a change in manager? You know what I mean? You have to ask yourself these questions. It's not, people think it's easy just to go get another manager and you can improve another 5 or 10%, get yourself past a Manchester City team who have Lawrence that did the treble last year, and we were happy they went out yesterday. I was happy Man City went out yesterday on a 4-timer in the Premier League as well. Right, John goes on to say Reece Nelson, before he scored that last-minute wonder goal last season, was due to be a free agent. Then they gave him a 5-year contract extension, and he has done nothing ever since. You're looking for squad players at this point in time, right, John? And Reece Nelson could be a squad player if he was trusted more, as per what Gary was saying about. And rightly so, Mikel Arteta does not trust some of his squad. I blame Arteta and I do for extending the contracts of junk players. We're trying to work within the means of financial fair play as well. So we spent, whatever you want to call it, 500, 600 million. We have done that to upgrade an FA Cup, a cup team to compete against Man City and Liverpool. So with that, I think I've said enough. Anyone else wants to jump in, go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree quiet with what, tonight.
I agree with what Red John has posted, 100%. I mean, but as I said, this is the second season running that we've blown an opportunity to put us in the front seat. We've now got to win every game to have a chance of winning the league title.
Yes.
We played twice. We played Wolves at the weekend, and then we played Chelsea on Tuesday.
Yep.
If we do not pick up 6 points from those 2 games, by the time Man City play their next game on Thursday against Brighton, then we can forget about the league.
I would agree with that, Lawrence. I would agree with that. Any more drop points in the next 2 or 3 games? We have to get to a North London derby with those 6 points in our back pocket, Lawrence. I would definitely agree with that. BX Gunner said, and BX has been working all day, so welcome back to the podcast, to the show. Getting Arsenal back amongst the top teams was deemed impossible. We're trying to reconstruct a squad where Man City and Liverpool have been for the last 4 or 5 years, and that has taken some time. And have we bought perfectly each and every player that's come in? No. There's been a couple of duds. Stan is itching to talk about the squad, and we're going to do that at some point in the near future. Michael said, what annoyed me since the Wenger area is the physicality, athleticism of the squad in general. Jorginho isn't up to the height of a midfield player. Red John goes on to say, Trossard wasn't even Edu Arteta's signing. He was a panic signing after missing out on Mudryk that ended up working out.
I don't know if I would say it was a panic signing. Exactly. I would say that it was more of an alternative or a plan B.
Yep, plan B, a second option.
They couldn't get the guy that they wanted. Luckily for us, the way it's all worked out. So they had a plan B, and it was Trossard. Yeah, and I think it was Edu and Arteta that identified that player and signed him. I don't think anybody else signed him. He didn't just show up on his own.
He said, Roberto De Zerbi, I'm sorry, I don't like you anymore. I'm going to go turn up at the gates of Colney, and they'll take me over there at Arsenal. Yeah, look, when you are a club, you have a list of players that you want to. They have a list of left backs right now. It's well known we're going to go looking for a left back in the summer. They have a list of midfielders. They have a list of strikers or forwards. They probably privately have a list of managers. If Arteta is going to be relieved of his duties, every club that's well run should have a contingency plan. It's called a contingency plan, not a panic buy. It was too sudden to be a plan B. Things happen very quickly in January. It's 1 month.
Also, as well, it was an opportunity because I think he was getting unsettled at Brighton with the manager. He hadn't been playing. He'd been omitted from the team. And we jumped on the opportunity. We saw that there could be something going on here. Usually with Brighton, don't they? They hold you over a barrel of how much they want for a player. But we managed to get this one done at a reasonable price and fairly quickly because it suited all parties. He didn't want to be at the club anymore. We needed the player, so it was best for everybody. He
was falling behind Matoma in the lineup. He could probably see it in November and December. And if you're an agent of a player and you're not doing due diligence, you're not doing right by your player. If you're an agent that doesn't have a contingency plan for you as a player as well, so yeah, it was very quickly done. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes right now. Arsenal are probably talking to left backs right now, probably talking to midfielders and strikers right now in the month of April. Let's not start slagging off players, says Colonel. I more blame Arteta for renewing Deadwood like Eddie Nelson. Al Nani. Yeah.
I get that sentiment about why we had to renew some of the contracts, but on the flip side of the coin, and I'm not saying it to defend Mikel Arteta, but on the flip side of the coin, we'd already just gone through this merry-go-round, hadn't we? This new implementation of ripping up players' contracts and just letting them walk away, which was a real bad habit to get into for me. Just letting players walk away and not getting anything back for them. You had to put a stop to it at some point. Perhaps they feel that by giving these players extended contracts, whether you agree with it or not, they feel that they'll be able to get money back on them at some point rather than just letting them leave on a free. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just trying to put myself into their way of thinking of why they did that. Because I do agree to a certain extent, a player like Reece Nelson, players like Eddie Nketiah, their time at Arsenal is done.
Yeah.
You know, and again, maybe it was a case of they felt it was more convenient to re-sign these players because it's easier to do that than find replacements. There's also that. But then again, if there's no money available for replacements and nobody's putting in bids for the players that you want to get rid of, maybe the option is that you give them another contract and try to sell them and get some money back at a later stage.
Yeah.
Now, we know that plan has never worked, and it continues to never work. Like, it never works because, one, the player isn't that good. Arteta has shown us this consistently. You can't sell a player you don't play. It's really difficult. We do this over and over and over again. This is not the first time. I mean, the best business they did was when they sold that midfielder to
Iwobi.
Newcastle, right?
Yeah, Willock,
right?
Willock.
That's business we did, right? We haven't missed him, and we got some money for him. All we've done since then is basically hold on to these players that they're not playing. Either they're injury prone, or when they are healthy, we don't play them. So what's the point? What's the point of all of that? And it doesn't work. We don't play them. And when they're at their highest level in terms of value, we don't sell them. So now when we go to Nketiah, Emile Smith-Rowe, we're not going to get much money for them because guess what? The value is dipped, right? Because
Yet to be seen, though, isn't it? It's yet to be seen.
No, there is no way we're selling Nketiah for more than he was going to get sold for the last time he was on the same thing happened.
I would have set it at 30.
Rowe is about 35, 40 mil for him.
He won't be.
Gary, I would set.
It's going to happen.
Or Willick. I'm talking about stuff since Willick. Not happening, Stan. Not happening. So yeah, we're not good at selling, one, because I think we hold on to players too long. When they're available to be sold, we don't sell them because of some nostalgia or something like that. And then they're worth what's supposed to hold on to the value.
All right.
And we don't play them. So then what happens to their value? It's only going to dip.
Right, Gary, what is a decent fee for Eddie Nketiah?
What is he?
20 million.
Yeah, he's not. And that, if we get 20 million for him, that's some good business because we can't sell starting goalkeepers for more than 20. It seems, which seems ridiculous, right? How in the world can you not sell a starting goalkeeper for over 20? We barely can do that, right?
Yeah. Red John says he's not met one Arsenal fan who rates Eddie Nketiah. BX has him at 17 to 20.
Can I just say as well? I mean, and it's about the comment that you've just highlighted, and it just shows that we all have different opinions on things because Red John is saying here that he does give Arteta props for signing Zinchenko, whereas I don't. I don't understand what he's bringing to this team, and I've been saying this. I've been saying this. For those of you that have been watching this channel for a while, you know that I've been saying this not too long after he signed. I've been saying that when a lot of people were still trying to tell me it's the passion that he shows and the fist pumping and all of that. That's all nice. That's all great. Do you know what I mean? But and I mentioned it on the show. It's like there's no good like fist pumping everybody and going to everybody, come on, let's work harder and giving it all of that, and then you're the next person to give the ball away in a dangerous area.
Yeah.
Lead by example. Leads by example. It's like telling people what to do, but you can't do it yourself.
I think Mikel Arteta needs to protect Zinchenko from himself.
Another thing as well, right? If everyone tries to tell me that he's a midfielder, he's playing in defence, and that's why he's such a help to us because he comes into the midfield and he can operate as a midfielder. My rebuke to that is there's been times when he's been sat on the bench, Zinchenko. Mikel Arteta has never once thrown him into any of the 3 available places that we have in midfield. 3 different roles we have in midfield. He's never gone to the bench once and put him on in midfield. And for me, that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes, man. So there's no place for this guy anymore in the team. He's not going to be used in midfield, which people tell me is his real position. He's shit at being a left back because he goes joyriding off into the fucking midfield where he leaves a great gaping hole behind him, and it's been identified now, and we suffer for it. And when he is on the ball, he always has this habit as well. He'll get the ball, he'll stop it under his foot, and I'm kind of exaggerating, but it's almost like he ups periscope and he starts, right, where can I put this ball?
surveys the field.
While he's doing that, the game is still going on. No one, everybody else hasn't stopped for him.
Yeah.
He slows the game down. And
Yeah,
I, for one, really hope that we get rid of this guy in the summer because he's no good.
I think there's a place for Alexander Zinchenko in the squad, but not as a defender late.
Yeah,
in
handing out the Lucasade.
Yeah, not as a defender late in the game. We saw that Aston Villa game on Sunday, and when we got away with 2 scares. Ollie Watkins in the first half hitting the upright. Not Zinchenko's fault that time, but in the second half, around the 63rd minute mark, something like that, he tries to break through Tielemans on the edge of his own box. Tielemans wins the challenge and hits the crossbar and the upright. We were let off. At that point in the game, Arteta's got to be saying, get Zinchenko off and put a left back on the field.
He's a shining example of the phrase, Jack of all trades, master of none. He doesn't actually have a defined role, and that's very worrying for a player that's playing at this level. That he's not really good at any one thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And we go on and lose against Aston Villa. I completely understand that Raya could have stopped the ball. Saliba or Gabriel could have stopped the ball. Havertz could have stopped the ball. But when the ball comes into the left back area, Zinchenko's playing inside right back. He's playing on the other side of the field. So if you have a recognized left back who's going to defend, yes, Declan Rice switched off. Ian Wright even tried to highlight Martinelli should have been switched on. All of those things are true, but if you have a recognized left back who can defend and who takes pride in defending, Nigel Winterburn would not have been caught there in that situation.
I kind of feel like some of that. I mean, I'll be hard pressed to believe that Arteta didn't tell him to guard the near post on the corner. I mean, I think some people have brought that up as being something that is part of our.
Plenty of time, Gary, to fill. The corner has been taken, and now you're into general play.
Yeah,
filter back into your left back.
It's guarding the near post, and the ball is scored from the far post, where the corner was taken.
Yeah, but there was a little bit of build-up play there. It wasn't directly from the corner. It was like a second phase of play there. Drift back.
You know what?
I get what you're saying.
I get it. I just, you know what I think also, and I'll say it again, at some point somebody's going to have to make the play for whatever, if it's a mistake or if it's just the way we play. Because Rice definitely should know that there's a player behind him and there's nobody to cover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, once again, I'm going to go back to the, you know what, just fix this. Let's protect maybe the closest risk that we got right now, which is the players sitting on the far post by themselves and nobody covering them. You know, like something needs to be said.
Somebody
needs to run out there by,
I don't know.
But he's the one that sees it and you see it, and so that. I think it's a total system breakdown because
But Gary, we saw this at Anfield last season.
It doesn't seem like we have those problems when we have other fullbacks there. So it's definitely something that's going on,
Yeah.
But
and we saw this at Anfield. We saw this at Anfield last season. 87-minute Trent Alexander nutmegs Zinchenko. We lose the goal.
That's not a mistake in the way he was set up. He's just not.
No.
He's just not a good defender.
But what I want to do is I want my manager to take him off at that point when the danger signals when the alarm bells are
the alarm
ringing.
bells were the entire first half. Like the first 20-30 minutes of that half was us continually defending. I keep saying, I've said this is probably the third show I've been on. They had 3 corners in a row.
Yeah.
If that's not a warning sign that, guess what? Your defense is being asked to defend and nothing else is going on.
When you have to defend, you put defenders on.
Yeah.
right?
So that's on Arteta not to.
Yeah,
You bring on Tomiyasu. Okay, for White, I don't understand why we don't. Ben White played the next game, no problem.
gassed.
Right.
Ben White was gassed, probably. That's why.
But he played the next game. Like you're trying to win a league. Give me 20 more minutes. You don't even have to start the next match. I know it's blind on the road, but for me, I keep saying, let's play the game we got today. You know what?
Yeah,
You can rest up afterwards, and we'll see how you feel going into the next game, right? Because even
Gary,
Tomiyasu
right?
could probably play right back at that point.
I
It's
hear you, Gary.
0-0. You have a chance to, at the least, maybe steal the game and get it win late. Your defense is getting tore up. You take off your better defender who's tired for your worst defender on the back line, right? And you leave a worst defender on the back line. Why? Him rested, it doesn't help. Him being the more rested player doesn't help us because he's poor at the defensive thing. So for me, I'm looking at like what's going on right now, and right now it's 30 minutes before the end of this game. Our defense, we need more defensive stability. And at that point, because we weren't doing anything offensively, once again in that second half, right? So that's for me. It's Arteta's decision that made it easier for our opponents to get what they wanted.
yeah. Stan?
I was just going to say though that it does appear that this thing about players getting tired is a real thing. I mean, look at Man City, the best team in the world, if you want to give them that label, in the quarterfinals against Real Madrid, and two of their best players, one in Erling Haaland and the other in Kevin De Bruyne, asked the manager to take them off. I need to come off. I'm too tired to play anymore. Now, I don't think that they were pulling a stunt. They were obviously at a stage where they did not feel that they were able to play on. And it must have been quite difficult for them to have to make that request. I mean, I wonder what the manager must have thought initially when he heard that. But I mean, if they're asking you, what are you going to do? You can't just leave them on, right?
Yeah.
They're assets. They're very expensive assets at the end of the day. You don't want to play them into an injury. So what do? Difference is that with Mikel Arteta, he in a similar situation, you got a player blowing out their arse. He looks at the bench and he knows that the players that he's got there, he knows that they're not good enough, most of them. You got a Cedric Suarez who sits on the bench, right? Why does he sit on the bench? The only reason he sits on the bench is because he's a senior player and we need a seat. We need somebody to sit on that seat. There is nobody else other than bringing in somebody from the youth academy, and they're not going to get on either. So a senior player has it because he's the last of the senior players that we have. Was I the only one that was looking at the TV in the second half, then looking at the lineup at the subs bench and thinking to myself, what is Thomas Partey here for? What's the deal with him? What's he here for?
That's the other thing.
If he ain't going to fucking bring him on, I mean, it's not like if you brought him on for Declan Rice, who looked like he was like walking on dead legs. You're not saying there's a drop off. Thomas Partey is equally as good as a Declan Rice. They play in different ways, but it's not a drop off. But why is he not getting played? What's the
you
deal
do have to wonder.
If you're telling me that he's not fit, he shouldn't be on the bench.
Well,
and if he's fit and he's on the bench, why are we letting players just run themselves into the ground when he's sitting there and should be ready to go? It just seems his situation to me, I can't put my finger on what's going on there.
Yeah, you do wonder about what the fitness levels and match fitness levels are of.
But you can't play 20 minutes. You can't play half an hour. Then he shouldn't be on the bench, right? If he can't play for half an hour, he shouldn't be traveling.
Yeah,
be recuperating or training or whatever.
These are the things that the manager is making decisions on, and we've come to a very important part in the month of April where we're being tested again. And like you said, City are tired. Liverpool, the wheels have come off of Liverpool as well, says Nigel. Aston Villa are the only team actually in Europe, British teams that have gone through. Emi Martinez up to his antics again in France. I saw that. But all of this is not helping the coefficient for Tottenham to get in.
I was just laughing at Red John's comment there because I hear what he's saying there, but I think Red John's new around these parts. I see that he's put Teabag on the list. Teabag's
he
not
really?
going anywhere. He's my pet project, Red John. If you don't know,
No, that guy's got to go.
Red
You know
John's
what?
probably thinking
Your
about, who the
your
fuck is
role on
Teabag?
this show, your
Explain
role
to
in this
Red John.
show is canceled,
Let me
buddy.
explain to Red John
You're
first of
getting
all, right?
killed off like they do on the show. Sorry, buddy. I don't
Let me
know how they
explain to
kill him
Let me
off
just
in that
explain to
show.
Red John because
You
he's
guys
new around
talk
these
about
parts,
the
right?
man's
He's
done.
new, right? So I have to explain to him.
It's gonna happen, Gary. It's gonna
I've
happen.
given Fabio Vieira the pet name of Teabag because to me he looks like the actor Robert Knepper, who played Teabag in Prison Break. If you ever seen the TV show Prison Break, he's a spit for Fabio Vieira. So he's affectionately known around these parts, except for Gary.
I don't know what
As
you're talking
Teabag.
He
about.
really hates it.
I can't put Teabag on the list. He's my pet project. There's a
No,
player
but
in
it's
there.
not I don't want tea bags. No, I want a football player. You keep calling.
FC
I
Abreu.
don't want any tea bags. Tea bags are all right if you're cold and you need something to warm you up. You just put them in some hot water, and you're
Look,
set.
One thing I will say, and part of the title here is that expectations exceed reality. So what we're expecting from this Arsenal team is actually sometimes what we expect from Arsenal is exceeding the reality of what we're getting on the field. And you're right, Zinchenko came to Arsenal a couple of years ago and started to talk about winning a title and getting that mindset into the players. I think that's important. Every player goes into the dressing room at the end of the summer and they look at the signings that have come in and they look around the dressing room and say, okay, we're ready to go to maybe attack this league, this Premier League. When you see Yuri Timber, unfortunately, out for the full season, it looks like. But Declan Rice and Havertz and Raya coming in, you're thinking you can, as a player, you're probably thinking you can really mount a challenge here. It is up to Mikel Arteta to use the resources available to him. And I've been very, I'm still favorable towards Arteta. I just wish that he would be a little bit wiser in the allocation of the resources that he has to hand on Arsenal. And here we are, 6 games from the end, still in with a chance, but it feels like we're driving around a Formula One car and we don't have enough gas to get to the finish line, and we're sputtering a little bit. I wish it would happen to Max Verstappen, but there you go. I think instead of constantly playing Havertz in midfield, Arteta moved Jesus to midfield and Havertz 9. Red John, perfect example here. We, as Lauren said, bring in Jesus. Somebody said bring in Jesus back. Stan maybe. Bring in Jesus back and Zinchenko in recent games. And we've moved Havertz away in the Aston Villa game. We moved him away from the forward line into a left 8 to accommodate a Zinchenko and a Gabriel Jesus. Going to Germany, I don't know. Jesus, where did he start in Germany?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he came off the bench.
Came off the bench. Okay.
No, he started, didn't he? Havertz
No, I feel it was Martinelli, Havertz, and Saka. Yeah.
What? Yesterday?
Yesterday. Yeah.
Who started?
No, he didn't start.
He did.
No, he didn't.
Oh,
He did.
No.
Who played it through the middle then?
Havertz.
He played as the 8. He played in the team as well. But
Yeah, he didn't.
He didn't
Jorginho and Rice.
Oh no, sorry, I'm thinking of the game previous.
Aston Villa.
Sorry, yeah,
The
my
Aston Villa
mistake.
game.
Yeah, that's right. He went back to the. Yeah, he switched back.
But
My mistake.
this mechanism, okay, it didn't happen in Germany, but in Aston Villa, we're moving players around to accommodate Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko in the lineup.
Yeah, my mistake.
Zinchenko,
you know what? You know what? You don't have to do that. You can just sub out the player, and then you're done.
I need to tell Uncle Mikel. I need to tell Uncle.
Come on, his worst games are playing in midfield. As much as people say he does all right there, his worst games are in midfield.
Yeah.
We don't control the midfield the way we want. It seems like it. He runs around and stuff, but we don't control the midfield the way we want.
So I'm going to throw this out at Lawrence here. Lawrence, it feels like each and every season we are setting ourselves up for failure because we are good enough to get top 4 2 years ago, and we just didn't get there. We're good enough to win the league last year, and we came second, and didn't get there. And you could say we're good enough to win the league this year, but we just don't have enough in our squad to get us over the line. So are we failing, or are we exceeding expectations?
Well, we're failing. I mean, as I said, the last 3 years, as you said, we failed to qualify for the Champions League at the final hurdle. We blew an 8-point lead last season against Manchester City for the league title, and we've done the same this season. You know, I think Arteta has taken this team as far as he can. He does not have the nous to get us over the line. And I feel like I'm reliving the final years of Arsene Wenger's time at the club.
But Lawrence, can I ask you a question now? Right?
Lawrence,
look at all the other clubs in the league, right? Other than Man City, other than a team that is in top place and maybe wins it, all the other teams, do all of their managers have to go because they couldn't get them over the line? Someone has to finish second. Someone has to finish third. And for me,
yeah,
I understand what you're saying, and I know that you've been supporting the club a little bit longer than myself. But for me,
yeah,
it's like, how can I put it? I accept that we can't win it every year. It's just we're just not good enough as the team that's winning it at the moment. But the gap is getting smaller.
Yeah, but
I think this season our matches against Man City have shown that we're beginning to be able to give them a problem. So, you know, once we get a little bit more in the next window, maybe that will be that next step that's going to take us all the way.
Yeah, but Stan, in order for us to put in a better challenge, Arteta's got to bring in at least 8 signings in the summer. Can you see him doing that?
No.
I don't.
I think Wenger did 6 one year. And 8 is a lot of wheeling and dealing to do. So you have to generate the cash that Gary's talking about.
But then we'll have to get the ones that we need in the next window, you know, and we have to use our money accordingly. It's just the way that it is. I mean, you know, I don't know how much money we're gonna. I don't know how much money we're gonna have to spend. But let's say that we have 200 million to spend, right? Which is a nice amount of money. Realistically, if we're going to be shopping in Harrods, where we should be shopping, if we're going back to the same shop where we bought Declan Rice from, how many players is that going to get you? 2? 3?
3.
It's not going to get any more than 3 if you're buying a top tier.
Last season it was 3. Yeah.
And I bet you any of those 3s will, and I bet you any one of those 3 will not be a striker, because this manager does not believe in bringing a striker to the club. He wants to share the goals out amongst the team. And in order to win the league, you've got to have
Aubameyang's contract, and then he thought he was bringing in a striker and Gabriel Jesus, but obviously he isn't. He's brought in a footballer.
But everybody in there, everybody that knew anything about Jesus will tell you he was never a striker. So
never prolific.
To be a striker, I don't know how many people in the world who ever thought he was a striker.
Yeah.
Maybe Mikel thought that he was going to unlock him. Maybe Mikel thought, you know, maybe arrogantly, he thought that he had the magic potion to make him better, and it hasn't worked.
He hasn't had it.
I mean, in theory, here's what you're doing. You're putting Gabriel Jesus between Bukayo Saka and Martinelli, 2 burgeoning talents. You would actually maybe think he would get more than 8 goals in a season. Gabriel Jesus.
Well, you know what? It's not that he doesn't get the chances.
Yeah, he gets the chances.
I don't think any his not scoring has nothing to do with the players he's playing with, because he always gets a chance to score. All right, we've seen it. How many times have we seen? Like he had. I mean, he was offsides, right, in the Villa game, but the fact that he didn't even come close to putting that shot on target is like, that's the problem. He just can't shoot. He can't shoot in front of goal. Like him, you know, shot on target. He's allergic.
You got no confidence with him. Right? Exactly. Yeah.
No. Whatever. He's just not clinical enough to put a ball on target, which is a problem, because he gets himself in situations to do that. But that's not a surprise. That's the thing we have to all remember. It's not a surprise. That is basically the problem. And
Here you go, Stan. Teabag's my favorite.
See, he knows. He knows.
nobody knows what that is. Buddy.
John, we've got to take him off the list, man. That's why. He's T-Bay. He's got to stay.
Got to hold his pocket if you want protection.
Exactly.
All right. We'll move on.
Yeah.
And that's Mikel's Achilles is right. Is maybe some favoritism to some players. I hate when Tony's right about some things.
We all do.
But the crayons.
Yeah. Get the crayons out.
Packet of crayons, Tony, if you hear us. Mikel Arteta has got 10, 11, 12, 13 crayons that he likes to use each and every game.
Can I say as well, to those people that are saying that, they've had enough of Mikel Arteta and they want him gone, and that's your right to feel that way, but I would say this to you, that he isn't going anywhere. And the main reason that I don't think he's going to go anywhere is because he's the project in the eyes of the management, the ownership. I think that they look at Mikel Arteta as their project.
Well, if that's the case,
he's their project, and then
they need to do a much better, supplying him with the better options.
Yeah.
Like if he's the project, which I believe that as well. Then they need to go out their way to make sure he gets the players that he needs, because he can't do it with just his talent as a manager.
Yeah,
and they have been.
We figured that out. He's not.
Huh? They've supported him to the hilt. To be fair, they've never.
Not enough. Not enough. He still looks at his bench and goes, "All I got is Emil Smith-Rowe, who's still in
this guy
Nelson, who I don't like.
He's had enough time.
Who doesn't provide anything for me, right? He looks at his bench and goes, "There's no answers there." Moel Nenny, who is
the
on
job
his
isn't
last
finished.
legs.
That's exactly it. The job isn't
like,
finished,
right? That's players that he wanted, and he won't play them. So obviously,
because he's realised now. Because do you know what it is though? He had faith in some of them. Maybe he gave faith, maybe rightly or wrongly, but he's given them opportunities, and they've never repaid him back. And he's probably sick of it. Exactly. So we can't do it now. They'll probably go in this window.
They didn't give it to him. This isn't a 1 year thing. That didn't just happen this year.
I think it's this season that's made him realise that he's put faith in some of these players. He's put them into games. He's given them opportunities. Here's a shining example. Eddie Nketiah scores a hat-trick. And so you reward the player by allowing him to start their next game. It would be wrong to take him out. What does the player do? Does he pay back the manager for showing that faith? No. He plays like absolute shit.
You know what? And that's why you have an academy,
as you the manager, you're probably watching that and thinking, "Yeah, I'm done with this."
Who's this? Trossard talking about?
No, Eddie. I'm saying that he scores a hat trick against Sheffield.
Yeah,
and so he's rewarded, and rightly so, of being allowed to start the next game. But he doesn't pay the manager back. He plays absolute fucking shit.
He had a good day against Sheffield United.
You've got to take him out, and that's
Stan, I could score a hat trick against Sheffield United, and I've got a big gut and a dodgy left leg.
And maybe if he was in the squad, he would have chosen you. Who knows?
Yeah, you could have got a hat trick. Colonel said, I heard Gary mention this on another show, but I tend to agree with him. Would we not have been a better team with Kudus and Ward-Prowse instead of Havertz? Kudus was definitely one we were in the conversation for, Gary.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I think the cost of Havertz, we could have got two players for that who probably would have been, for me, I don't think he would have put him out of position. Like Havertz had to be on the pitch for some reason. I don't understand why. Out of position, that's not where he plays. He's not really good in that position. We forced him there for like first half of the season. It didn't really pan out. He moves him up further up the pitch. Things look better. Our biggest games in terms of scoring are with him at the top. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So I don't.
Yes,
right. I like
and when he came in, I was willing to wait towards the end, but yeah, we could have done. We could have got two players instead of one.
Right. We could have signed Tielemans at the beginning of this season. which is what we needed, right,
Yeah.
on a free transfer.
It
And
would
what
have
does
been.
Arteta do? He'd rather spend
I
68
have
million
to,
on a
but Lawrence, I still believe that Mikel Arteta and Edu's talent ID and spotting talent over the course of a season has. I don't think they've been found wanting over the course of a season.
What do you mean
When
by that,
they've
Ray?
Yeah,
like
I'm
what
trying to figure what you mean because, like, look at where we are right now today.
I'll tell you.
Arteta has 2 players and 3
I'll tell
players
you.
on the bench that he might
We
actually put on.
we identified Kai Havertz and we had our doubts about him earlier in the season, but I don't think we could really complain with the player and what he's given us this season. Kai
Let's see
Havertz.
what the next 6 games hold.
Yeah, I mean Tielemans has.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see.
I just worry that he's a bit streaky.
Tielemans has 1 or 2 good games, and the whole fan base says we should have had Tielemans. James Maddison was 1 for Tottenham. He's been injured for most of the season, not really sparkled. So
how many
we've
how many
10
goals has Havertz scored this season? I bet it's
Scored
not
9.
double figures.
10.
He's 9.
10.
He's one off double figures.
I
He's
believe
one
that.
up, right. He's 9. He's on 9, Lawrence.
Yeah.
He'll get 10.
So he
Remember,
should get 10,
Xhaka,
right?
everyone talking about Xhaka, and we should have kept him. His best season. How many goals did he score? 7.
I've got a question for you then, Stan. Granit
Yes, sir.
Xhaka, if he would have stayed with us this season, would we be in a better position?
But you have to caveat that and remember that it wasn't the case that we sold him. We acquiesced to his
He
request,
wanted to go.
wanting to
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
So, you know, our hand was forced. We had to
Yeah.
find a replacement. But I'm
Yeah.
not going to
They
go
didn't
down that
find a
road. I'm not
replacement,
going
that's
to
the
open that
problem.
wound. I'm not opening that wound up
Havertz isn't a
again.
replacement and never was. So we didn't replace Xhaka. Everybody
I'm-
says just because he plays in the midfield, he's
Yeah.
replacing. He's not replacing
Our
Xhaka.
left 8
I'm
They
not-
is
didn't
still
replace
Look,
it. They just put a
right.
player in the
I'm
spot.
not going to
That's
say.
all they
I'm not
did.
opening that wound.
Yeah.
And as for Red John saying about Arteta being afraid of conflict, he got rid of Ozil and Aubameyang. Look at what happened to those players after they left Arsenal, and tell me that it wasn't the right move. Look what happened to Mesut Ozil when he went to Turkey. The geezer was playing like he was in a pub, playing like he was playing pub football, and had to retire and was not interested. That was the right thing to do. Same with Aubameyang as well.
We had to move on from disruption in the dressing room.
They were poison.
A player like Aubameyang
should have
is
sold
like,
Ozil in the same window as Alexis Sanchez. I've always said that.
A player like Aubameyang is like Rashford at Manchester United right now. He's got talent, but
We
they're
should
not
have
going anywhere with him.
we should have kept Sanchez and got rid of Ozil when they offered those new contracts.
Yeah.
I would agree.
I reckon.
Sliding doors moments. FC Abreu said, being good enough to fight all the top teams for trophies should be the expectations. Arsene Wenger famously said that you can never guarantee winning trophies, but you have to guarantee that you're going to be competing for trophies. And are we not competing now? I mean, it's not perfect.
We're not completing all 4 fronts,
No.
which is a sign of a good squad.
Yep.
That's what you need. If you can't compete on all 4 fronts, I don't think you get the trophies you're expecting consistently.
And we're not there yet, Gary, right?
That's the problem. That's why I feel like, this quarterfinals, match that we had is good, but the fact that we couldn't get deep into the domestic cups, that's the problem. Because that's what happens when you don't have a squad deep enough. Like those, you need players that can play in those games that can actually get you wins. Because then when they have to play in the Premier League, you've got a more solid depth there. You got better players and stuff.
This is good.
Players who are actually in form, players that haven't just been sitting on the bench for a month or two.
This is going to lead us into another segue, which is the news of the FA Cup reformatting, internationals, and the demands on the best players in the game. We're seeing Liverpool grinding to a halt a little bit. They had the cup games that we talked about. We're seeing City grinding to a halt in the Champions League, albeit against Real Madrid. But there's a real possibility that fighting at the top, Liverpool, City, and Arsenal, we're all having an effect on each other here. I feel.
Can I just say that the difference is I think as fans, when you look at the 4 competitions, because we can only ever fight on 4 fronts as a club, right? We look at the shiny trophy as a mark of an achievement, and it is a mark of an achievement. But I think sometimes from the club's position, especially from a financial view, looking at the club more as a business model, they don't look at the trophies in the competition. They look at the monetary value. So you're not going to put your best players into a Carabao Cup competition because the revenue that you get from that is less than £1 million. Whereas just for getting to where we got in the Champions League, we've earned £91 million. £91 million buys you a very, very good football player.
Yeah.
So
And if I see several,
I'm not saying it's right.
You missed my point, though. I wasn't
Gary,
talking about.
Gary, what I'm saying, I'm not saying it's right, but if you look at it through that lens, I think that's what clubs tend to do from their point of it, from their side of the fence. Personally, I count trophies. I don't count pound notes. I count.
That's
trophies.
the difference. Yeah, that's the difference in mindset. The running of the club.
And that's the thing. The teams that are winning trophies are either. There's always seems to be one fluke one, but consistently you're always going to see your Liverpools and your cities playing for those, getting those other domestic cups, right? Because they have. We always talk about their depth, right?
My spider sense is tingling. Tony's approaching quickly. Tony's going to be here soon.
He's got to eat.
Tony's been released from Mr. Tom. He's going to be here soon, man.
I've been following that. No, Tony's been released.
I can listen to our new viewers like Red John and Mr. Arbro. You ain't seen nothing yet until you.
Tom has had him for 5 hours now, Stan. So that's not cheap. Tony does not come cheap for 5 hours. That's a lot of
5 hours.
It's a lot of money on the bed stand. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, Gary. I mean, Stan and Gary, what you're saying is it's tough for fans to think that way because we want the to see the trophies on the.
Yeah, but you know what? Like trophies don't come if you don't have depth. That's the problem. We don't have the depth.
Yeah,
we don't have, like I said, and the way you can determine whether you have the depth is, I believe, when you look at how deep you go into domestic cups. All right. The fact that we've played only 3 domestic cup matches this year, not a good sign.
I said Man United had a decent season for Man United last year. They won a Carabao Cup and came 3rd in the league. Would you say Liverpool will accept a Carabao Cup win and 3rd in the league as being a good season for them?
No, because you look at the games that they've lost coming down the stretch here.
So those are the standards.
The Crystal Palace loss isn't like indicative of a team that had that's a terrible loss, right?
Yeah.
Teams in the league though, they operate at a different level. If you're like a mid-table team, I'm trying to think of a Crystal Palace, say for example, in a Carabao Cup, you really want to win that, and you're probably going to play your strongest team, your strongest team in that competition. Whereas a team like Arsenal, a team like Liverpool, you should be using that really to blood some of your younger players, right? Or fringe players. Get your fringe players more into the mix, maybe blood some youngsters and use that avenue. Because the money you win, that's not what Arsenal's about. FA Cup has been tarnished a little bit.
Keep bringing up this money thing, and it's not about the money.
It is to the owners, Gary.
The problem I have is that we don't have the depth to compete in it.
Well,
it has nothing to do with whether we make any money from
it.
All right, 1 second, both of you. But this is what Ange. Was.
It helps me demonstrate the difference of importance it is to different teams. A team like Palace, for them, the $500,000 is going to help. But they want to win that trophy.
Bringing money up. I'm not talking about money, though.
Well, I am. I am talking about money.
Gary, but the money allows you to build the squad.
Gary,
to even compete in it. I'm not talking about playing our starters in those matches. I'm saying our depth is a problem because you can see it.
Here he is.
Crap.
But Gary, I'm not discounting what you're saying.
He's here.
I'm not saying you're wrong. Hey, bikers and acid.
Yeah, man's wearing leather as well.
Where are the crayons? Ah,
The man's wearing leather. I will just say, between Stan and Gary, the money is important if you want to improve your squad. That's all I'll say. The money.
Yeah, I'm
from the
not
Champions League.
arguing with Gary. I'm not saying Gary's. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
from my opinion.
Point of view.
The way that I look at it, like a team like Palace, they are going to play their best team because they want the prestige of winning a trophy. Whereas a team like Arsenal, they got bigger fish to fry, right? They'd like the Carabao Cup, but they're not going to put their best team in.
Yeah.
And maybe at the beginning of the FA Cup early rounds, they might not either, because they're going to be trying to manipulate and rest their best players and get them ready for Champions League games. And we know our squad is short anyway.
We haven't done that.
The money part,
That's
it might
the
not be
problem.
important to us. Might not be important to us. We want trophies, but the owners, they look at the they look at the billing sheet at the end of everything. You know, they look at the accounts.
If you look at FA Cup and the other one,
Carabao Cup.
League Cup. If you look at those, Arteta would start 5 starters, then he would bring on 5 starters. So you have all your starters except for your goalkeeper.
We've just come back competing. We can't slide the manager. Yeah, Tony, we're listening. You have the floor, Tony. You have the floor.
Can you put Tony on the big square?
just-
I want to see his whole get up.
and the crayons.
Did you bring your pack of crayons?
No crayons.
He will next time. He will. That's for sure. We build and recruit well, fight, then strike to claim a trophy, says FC Abreu. Expectations, reality, definitely.
We started outside of
Why am I
geez.
fucking a negative
in
negative
the FA Cup against Liverpool.
As you walking around, I thought he only had one leg.
We started, besides Jesus playing in the up top and
was a
having
strong
played in
team.
the midfield, we played our starting.
Yep.
We had 9 players on the pitch that are starters in their correct positions. We didn't take it light in that game, and we lost.
We were trying to get back on track in that game, Gary. We just lost to West Ham and Fulham. We needed a lifeline that the FA Cup provided to us, and it was a smash and grab from Liverpool. We did not finish our dinner. Right? We did not finish our dinner. It was an OG at the end of the game that beat us. Should be okay with FFP if we've gone to the quarterfinals of Champions League. That will definitely help give us some room. Paqueta, I believe, is already talking to City. He's probably going to end up at Man City.
But isn't the total point like nonsense? Because 3 years running now, we have beaten the record of how fast we got knocked out of the domestic cups. We don't care about them.
It's not that we don't care about him, Tony. We don't have a squad that can.
Yes, we
sustain
do.
us.
He's playing 5 fucking starters.
He mixed the team up.
If you got fucking Saka and
We had
Gabriel
Sago
and Saliba out
Jr.
there.
was playing against Brentford. Reece Nelson scored against Brentford. We went through on that round. but
Brentford's
we
the
were
one
beat-
we won. What about the one we didn't win? You know.
At West Ham on a horrible night. We lost.
Oh
on a
God!
horrible night.
The night it was dark. What was it? They didn't play with lights or something. What do you mean? At night,
The lights were on. It was a
Lights
horrible night.
weren't- all of the lights weren't on. Is that because that was the problem? It was a night game.
Lights were on, but no one was
And
in.
they had candle lights. Every player had to run around with a candle. Right? That's how they played.
Miners' hats.
What do you mean it's a night game?
Gary brought his pitchfork for me
What's
tonight.
up with this? What are you talking about? Oh my God.
Gary, you're after. You're coming
Gary's
after
had
me, Gary.
enough of battling with me the last 2 shows, so he's got to take it out on you. now.
Nico did say we don't have a striker that scores 40 goals, but we have many players who don't score. a lot
That's
of
like the
goals.
dumbest thing. Like, not too many. What teams have a striker that scores 40 goals?
Haaland.
Okay, yes, one.
Mbappe.
Yes.
Mbappe.
One striker
Liverpool.
scores 40.
Liverpool.
Guess what? Since we don't have one, guess
Salah.
what? We can't go
Salah.
buy one.
Salah, there you
because
go.
They don't score 40 goals. Nobody does.
In all competitions.
The team we played during the weekend had one. It was in the championship, but he scored 36 goals.
Watkins, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yep. Players won't stay forever, though, Stan, if we don't win something in 2 years. And Real Madrid won a Saliba, Gabriel Rice, or an Odegaard. Then they're going to go like back in 2010, 2011. We have a window. We have a window of a few years. That includes what remains of this season.
Look, Stan,
And
you got the big boss man.
as Lawrence said, we got to win we got to win 6 points, Lawrence, before City play again, and we have to exert maximum pressure on City, and they're not infallible. They can, if we bring them to the brink, they could creak a little bit. This Man City team, should put Jesus on a Sanchez pedestal, and he needs to match that level. Wow. I don't think he can ever reach a Sanchez level, Jesus.
So we just go back to the Wenger version, just playing. You played nothing but academy kids and a little mix of squad players.
I would want Mikel Arteta to bring a couple of academy players through. Yes. Maybe we've seen Nathan Waneri played some minutes this season.
How many?
50.
I think it's. I don't even know.
He played it a half against West Ham, and he came on in another game. I mean, I'd like it to be more, Gary.
We're not really playing much. The man's got 14 minutes. Yeah. Tierney's got more minutes than Nweri. All right, so there you go. Take that one out.
Matt said Arteta is just out of his depth. He's gone as far as he can. The brother is right. 8 players is right around what we need. The big question is, do you trust him with top dollar another window?
Yes,
I do trust him.
Can you do me a favor and see how many minutes Nelson's played?
Nelson's played he's played 652 minutes total in all competitions.
FC Abreu, thanks for being here with us. I'm sure you're gone by now, but
he's played a lot more cup games in the Premier League. I think he's still less than Emil Smith-Rowe.
So why are we asking the question if Arteta's taking this team as far as it can? If we can upgrade the talent again in another window, Eddie Nketiah is gone. Reece Nelson's gone.
You know what? I kind of feel like he's lost. I think he's I believe that he has players, he doesn't trust them. They'll never get the trust, and then when they do play, we're like, well, they suck, right? Well, because they don't play. Like they need one.
Well, you're saying when he does trust them, they don't repay.
No, when he does trust them, it's after they've been sitting around idle and they're basically just been dying off on the bench. They need to be part of the squad, so they need to play a lot more minutes than they're getting.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I don't think he gives them enough minutes to even make it like they are young players that he has, and they need to play football. All right.
Do you think Arteta's gone as far as he can with this team then?
Yeah.
I don't think. You think if he played the same team next year, he'll do much better than this one?
I asked a different question. Have Arsenal win as far as they can with Arteta?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Every single fucking player on the team is somebody that he signed or re-signed. So they say give him another window. Give him fucking. That's what I said about David Gary.
Tony, I think Gary has put this to you already, Tony. I think, have we not improved year on year on year?
Has Arteta improved, right?
Well,
has
you phrased the question. Improved? You phrased the question. Has Arsenal gone?
The team has, but the fucking manager hasn't, right?
I have seen.
Are we better at man management? Are we better at substitutions? Are we better at changing tactics? Do we have a plan B?
Yeah, I think we are better at changing tactics. Yeah, I think we've seen some good
You think we are?
in-game adjustments. We won the Man City game at the Emirates by making substitutions.
Yeah,
Did
but
he?
Ray,
What did he do at
what's that
Villa?
going to mean? Ray, what's
What
that going
happened
to
at
mean
Villa?
if you say, well, yeah, well, we beat Man
Yeah, they're moving
City
on it.
this season. What's that going to mean when they've beaten us to the league title again this year? It means
I agree.
absolutely
I
nothing.
agree. It's going to mean that we were not consistent enough against the smaller teams. Liverpool do not lose to the smaller teams. City do not lose by and large to the smaller team. We will.
Do you
We
know what
could end
Liverpool
this
does?
season. We could end this season having the best record amongst the top 6 teams, but the worst record against the rest. Tony.
And you have those two teams that have played 8 and 10 more games than us. And like Liverpool, they use in the cups, they use shitloads of academy players.
Yeah.
It's like we got destroyed by an under 17 team.
But Tony,
back.
Liverpool are gassed now as well.
Yeah, because they only had a limited amount of fucking players, right?
They have the same squad. They have the same. Every team has 25 players on their squad.
He still turned it around from a team that finished 7th last year.
Injuries. They had injuries last year.
You kept saying they didn't have a fucking midfield, right? You didn't say they had fucking injuries last year.
They had injuries. They didn't have a midfield, and they had injuries.
Gary, what do you remember Ray talking about last year about his favorite team?
Dude, I don't care what he said last year, Tony.
You know what he said. He kept talking about midfield.
I don't care.
He kept talking about midfield. Ray, what did he talk about?
Because Tony likes to talk about minutes and stuff. I just said I'll take a look.
Yeah.
Like in all competitions, Liverpool have one player who has over 3,400 minutes. City has 3. Arsenal has 6.
Yep.
I mean, like I said, the depth is my problem, and the only way you can tell whether or not you have depth, for me, is how you do in those domestic cups when you go to your bench. All right. I mean, Liverpool only has, like I said, one. If you look, they've played their youth a lot. Right. They played their youth a lot this season, and yes, they got a trophy out of it, and they've gotten deep in the games that they've in the cups that they've played. So there's something to be said about that, and I like to think we have some young players we can play.
Gary. I think we have some academy players that are probably better than some of the established.
Yeah, but we're not going to ever see them, right? Because even when you're up 5-0 in a Champions League game, you can't play them. I don't get that.
Yeah.
We went through a streak where we were scoring at least 4 goals in 4 or 5 games. I don't think we had any academy players then, but
well, you know what's happened. You know what's happened when Zinchenko and Jesus have come back in that stretch. So yes, Tony, you were right. I did mention earlier it's infuriating when you're right sometimes, but you were right about that.
Look, great.
Look how happy he is.
Let's go. Here we go.
We should be in the window of world-class players now. We're quarterfinals, Champions League.
And that's the other part to this whole thing, right? That's why we're so our depth is terrible, because most teams, yes, they might have only 14, 15 players that are part of their squad, all right? All of those teams have world-class players, right? The City, the Liverpool, they have world-class players. We don't have any. We don't have any world-class players. You have players they're getting close, but they're not world-class players.
Yeah.
That's why you need depth, because you don't have the best on your squad. So you need, to have players that with a little bit more talent. And I believe we have some of that on the bench. We never get to see it enough in certain situations, right?
I mean, it's criminal.
Is that really Ozil when we see him? Is that really Ozil bodybuilding? I don't think.
Do you know
so.
what annoys me about that? I bet he wouldn't fucking pick any weights up when we were paying him all that money each week. I bet he was fucking, you know what I mean, giving the gym a fucking
I
swerve.
think he's eating Kolasinac.
Yeah, but he was making money because he was selling gaming like clothes. That's how much he was into the fucking gaming. He had his own line of gaming clothes.
Tony, you really look like the big boss
You
man.
remember when he was on the,
It's uncanny.
remember when he was on the subs? Remember when he was on the subs bench against Southampton, and he had the umbrella as well. One
Mary
time with those
fucking Poppins.
Mary Poppins.
Stephen said, "Yeah, Ozil." For me,
I sent Ray
Arteta's,
lots of funny photos of Ozil with the umbrella.
for
Wearing
me,
his, fucking,
Arteta
wearing
has
his
one
snood
more
up to there,
season.
like, and fucking shivering on the fucking training pitch. Do you know what I mean? Like a baby fucking zebra.
Can you
I
imagine?
realized-
Can you imagine being one of the guys sitting on the bench and seeing a guy behind you with a fucking umbrella?
Worst signing we ever made. Worst fucking player to ever
So-
put on an Arsenal shirt, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
Are we?
And what got me is like they would still say, "Oh, he's world class." There's two things that went together: him and the other fucking total fucking dickhead that we signed. He was a total fucking dickhead.
Who?
Who scored goals for us for just one season?
Red John, I think Arsene Wenger put out decent sides to win FA Cup.
Sanchez,
win FA
Sanchez and
Cup
Ozil needed each other because Sanchez only scored 7 goals the following 2 seasons that he left Arsenal, and Ozil just sat on the bench. Then he went to Turkey and couldn't even cut it in Turkey. That's how shit he was.
I had the game. I had the game playing, and the last words on the game were, "Oh my word," and that was when Saka took his corner.
Yeah.
And it
That's
barely made it to
Smudger
the first
Smith.
guy. The last
Fucking
words
terrible.
were, "Oh my,
Yeah.
Terrible.
oh my word."
All right, so
That's basically how that game went.
Is that because he's got no strength in his legs because he's so tired? I mean, what is that? I mean, what you know,
Dude, you know what? You have
that?
one kick
it's
to make,
poorly.
right?
It's
You have
poorly
one
hit.
kick to make. It's probably the last kick of the game. Take your time, young man. Right? They're not gonna blow the whistle while you're getting ready to take the corner. Take your time.
How
put
many
air on
minutes
it. I
is
mean,
he?
that's
How
an
many minutes
impatient
is he
player
on now,
not really
Gary?
thinking about the situation. Like, dude, you're rushing it and then you just boot it short. I mean, come on.
Statman Gary, how many minutes is Saka on?
Saka is
Slowly.
on 3,400. Yeah.
Stony
He's the
Blue
let's
Oyster.
just say he's got the least amount of players with over 3,400 minutes. So he's actually not one of the top players this year. That goes to Saliba and Gabriel. Yeah. Declan Rice
Probably.
sit around.
White should be at the top.
Can I ask a
White
question
is
to everybody on
White
the
is
panel?
fourth. White is
What?
fourth.
I
I'd like to
figured
ask
he'd be
everybody on
ahead
the
of
panel a very
Gabriel.
quick and easy question, and everybody in the chat box, because
Mhm.
it seems to me that there are some people that don't want the manager anymore. They want to change the manager, and I'm just interested to
about
know how
10%.
what the feeling is as everybody that's in here this evening. I'd like to try and get a balance of where people are. So I'll start. I'd like him to continue on. I wouldn't look at changing Mikel Arteta at the moment. So I'd like to know how everyone else feels. Let us know in the chat
I
box.
want
as
him
well.
now.
Put stay or go, or whatever you want.
What?
Stay or fired, or whatever you want to put.
In or out.
I want
In
him.
or out. Yeah, in
I
or
want
out.
him
There
gone.
you go. I'm in.
I
Still.
want him gone.
Lawrence says no. His thumbs down from Lawrence. Listen, I think we need to go again. Another window, Lawrence. Tony
Look.
says down.
No,
So
I
No,
can't go
that
through
was
this
Lawrence's
again,
thumb
mate.
down.
the bottom row. We need to
Ray,
upgrade the talent. Lawrence, we need to
Ray,
upgrade.
Ray,
You said that.
like I said,
every year, every window.
we've got
improved
to
every
bring
year.
in.
We're
We've
8 short.
got to
8, 9
we've
plays
got
short
to bring
still.
in. We've got to bring in 8 signings this summer, and I've got no faith in Arteta that he's going to do that. Right? It's going to be the same old shit where we sit around
We're not going to
waiting
do 8.
until like 2 weeks before the season starts. We've got no one coming in.
No,
And then
no,
Lawrence,
no.
Lawrence,
So, am I right in
you're
am I
wrong
right
on
in
the number,
detecting, Lawrence,
Lawrence.
that you want the manager gone? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I want him gone now. As I
Okay.
said, if we do not win the league title, if we end up potless again this season, he's got to go. Taxi for Arteta.
Okay.
I'm tired of the same old shit every year,
Well,
and we
Lawrence,
defend the manager.
In or out would
You-
have sufficed, but I get it.
Lawrence, do you accept?
Yeah.
Do you accept the manager change means we may not get better?
Who knows? I mean, we could
go
bring in
either
a better
way,
manager.
right?
There
Yeah.
are loads
Go
of
either way, right?
Yeah.
I also
there
say,
are-
if you do want him
there are
out,
loads of
you
managers
look
out
at
there.
you look at your
Gary, there's one
club,
place.
and you
There's
look
one
at
place to go, Gary.
you look
But
at your
there's a
clubs,
long
and you
way to
look
go
at
down.
you know what? You look at your clubs and you look at your Peps when they came into their squads. Did they go down or did they start trending upwards? Right?
Up.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, the quality of your manager will take their squad and do better. Like a better manager will do better things with our squad. I'm Arsenal. I keep saying I'm Arsenal in, right? What's good for Arsenal? If they like, the thing is, I don't think they're gonna do it. But if there's a manager out there that they feel can do better with the squad they have and the plan that they have in place, that look, we're not going to get you 17, 18 players that fit your style. You're gonna have to either create them from our academy, take some of the players we do have and get them to work for you, right? Because we got talented players that they just don't get to play, right?
There's no guarantees.
There are different ways to get at this thing.
There's no guarantees though. When you make a change, there's no guarantees.
There's no guarantee that Arteta will do better.
Right.
There's nothing
Right.
you can say that says Arteta will do better than he did.
Do
Do you want him out, Gary?
Same
Do you want to
risk
change the
either way.
manager? Do you want to change the manager?
Right.
Gary?
I said I
Right.
don't care.
Do you see?
1 second, Lawrence.
Okay.
What was that answer, Gary?
I said I don't care. I just want what I think.
You,
I just
come
want
on,
Arsenal
now,
to do.
Gary.
I want
He
Arsenal to
always
do
says
better
Arsenal
with
best
what they
thing.
got.
Gary,
Like
But he
Four
really
of
wants him
us
out.
have told you where we stand. Come on.
I said, I don't.
Gary
can-
wants him out.
If he has to go, then he has to go. I've said this since day one. You're asking me.
Well, you have an opinion, Gary, and you should share the
Yeah,
opinion.
do
your
what's
opinion.
best for Arsenal.
Yeah.
If you
Right.
think Arteta's better for Arsenal, then you're saying he stays. If others say he's not good for Arsenal, then he has to go.
So then, what's
Right.
the solution then? If you want him out, those
Hold on,
people that
Lawrence.
want him out, who would you want to come in to replace him? What would be the solution in your eyes? Those that want him out. Anyone?
I thought that was a guy. You were talking to Gary.
I
No?
thought you were asking
Anyone?
that.
Anyone? Yeah, those that want.
I
those
told
that
you
want
I
the
don't
manager
care.
gone,
I'm
Who do you
going to
want
give
to
you some
replace him with?
names. I'd love to see Mancini come to Arsenal. Ancelotti, Allegri. All top class managers that could do a far better job than Arteta.
Allegri.
I think we got a former Arsenal player that's coached in enough places that he can do it.
Stop.
Come on,
will you?
Ray.
Stop
player is
with
that,
Vieira.
Tony?
Come on.
You were saying
Stop.
Vieira was to be our next.
Yes. Did
Did
he
you
do
not?
so great at Crystal Palace? No. Come on.
I don't think they gave him a chance.
Is Patrick Vieira top class? Is he a top class
Hey,
manager?
I don't think they gave him a
Patrick
chance. Whether or
Vieira.
not he's good enough for Arsenal is to be seen, right? But I don't think they gave him a chance.
He
I
did.
agree.
He did. They improved his first year. The defensive stats improved. You go to France, the defensive stats improved. You go to MLS, and he was
Yes,
on a
upgrade assembled. Yes, upgrade.
he was
Right.
on a totally brand new team,
Okay.
right? And he got him to the playoffs. There's his second year there.
All right. Lawrence.
Right. Do you see a picture of Arteta on my shirt?
No.
Or is that Arsenal FC? We're not Arteta FC.
Yeah, I didn't
That's
say
the
we
problem
were.
with our-
Ray, can I prove a point of view that's totally wrong?
Hold on. Is Lawrence finished with his point?
I know you just
Yep.
interrupt people, Tony,
Tony?
and then you
Tony?
decide to corner the conversation to who you want to talk to. It's like 5 of us here, and he's like,
I
you know what,
just-
Stan? I just want to talk to you, Stan. About,
Tom didn't
like,
let you talk tonight, did he?
What hair products do you use? You know,
I'm just tired
Just juice and
of
berries
people
like
thinking.
Hakeem.
No, I agree with you, Lawrence. There's no Arteta FC. It's not Arteta FC.
Yeah, well, apparently our fan base thinks that Arteta is bigger than Arsenal itself. And like I keep saying, no one is bigger than Arsenal.
What?
None of us.
That's a small percentage, Lawrence.
I'm sorry. As I said, I back the badge. I back the club. I don't back any one individual. Managers come and go. Players come and go. When we all pop our clogs, Arsenal will still be around. It's all about this, nothing else. And right now, this manager, if we end up without winning the league, he has got to go. His time is up. 5 years is enough of this bullshit that we've had.
Have you not? I mean, we haven't won trophies, but have we not been winning games?
Hang on, I just want to clarify. So let me see.
But what does that mean if we don't win the league title? It doesn't matter what we do over 90 minutes.
Only
right?
one
it's
team.
About where
only
we
one
are.
team. There's only one team can win the title at the end of the season. You know.
Yeah, but as I said, 5 years of the same nonsense, the same bullshit, the same four-man management.
Lawrence, it's been 20 years, Lawrence.
Well, that's
now you just try to piss them off even more.
5 years.
Like, no, you know what? It's not even
Robert.
5, dude. It's 4 times as much.
20.
How do you feel now? He's pissed off at 5. It's going to piss him off
5
20.
years. 4 or 5 years of the same bullshit of this guy and his process, and I still don't see what the process is. He hasn't told us what the process is.
Are we
5 years?
Are we not as good as Liverpool right now? You know?
I don't know. Have we won any trophies? Apart from the FA Cup. One FA Cup does not mean we're a good side.
If we're there every year, we are going to win the league at some point, whether it's this year, next year, or the year after that. If we're there each and every year,
but there's people out there, Lawrence, who are your age and they've never seen their team get to a FA Cup final, let alone win it. We've won it 14 times.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lucky. I'm lucky. I've seen us win the league title. I was at Anfield when we won the league at 89. The best night of my life, the best weekend of my life, because nobody gave us a chance. But back then, we had a manager who was good at his job, unlike this clown that we've got in charge of us now.
Yeah.
Ray, tell us how you found out about results to that game.
I found out about the next morning because I went to work thinking we would not be able to do that. We weren't. Nobody gave us a chance at Anfield.
Is that when you were working in London or Germany?
No, in Ireland. I was working in Ireland, you know, stocking shelves. And I went home that night. I woke up the next morning and found out that we'd actually won the title, you know, because I had given up. We had an 18-point lead that season.
So you're one of those fans that walked out after Villa scored, right? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Not now.
You told us, right? It sounds like you just told it. No, it sounds like you just told us that's probably you.
That was 30 years ago.
Exactly. And you just said, I don't care what's going on. I think the season's over.
I was 18.
I'm not saying age is just a number, dude. Yeah.
No, I had to make some coin, you know. Gary.
The one thing that we lack and we sometimes don't use is we do have a Trossard, but we don't use him sometimes in the right ways, and we can't figure out how to get him to start. It'd be nice to,
all right,
you just when that goal went in, it's like I missed Giroud, you know, because you knew he was going to come off the bench, you know.
Yeah.
You missed somebody who's
all right. So
quality.
Who
we blaming
as an attacker?
Martinelli. We blaming Martinelli for that goal.
Yeah, because he left his man unmarked. He didn't pick up his man.
That's
Martinelli.
Martinelli.
Martinelli when we get a moment.
Talk about it. We're
But
we're there.
also we've got to blame Ben White for not, closing the guy down who put the ball back across the box.
Yeah, as the assemble said, it seems like we have improved. In the cold light of day, trophies determine success. Unfortunately, it's been only one. I think that's pretty accurate comment there from the assembled.
I mean,
The
we've
the
improved because if you think about it,
trophies determine success at the end of the day.
we're on the cusp of a breakdown here at the end of the season, but we still have games that you put a win up that puts pressure on City.
Yep.
That's where we were last season, right? So
We're at a crossroads, Gary.
I said this before, right? We're going into the Villa game. We usually come out and we respond to the loss that we had to a team. Villa and Fulham are the only two teams right now that have, I think they might even be the only two teams that might get points off of, get a win off of us, and we don't get a win off of them this season.
Yeah.
So I think everybody else we have a win
Bad.
against.
Yeah.
Actually, probably not. We still have that
Tottenham.
team in Chelsea who we don't have wins against. So, yeah.
I miss talking about the game, Ray. Can I talk about the thing that really fucking
Dude,
pissed
you
me
talked about yesterday, last year, and 20 years before that. And all of a sudden, guess what? Oh, let's talk about the game now. We've been doing this for like 90 minutes. You didn't want to talk about it. No, we're not talking about the game anymore. We're done.
You're
with
late, and you're late.
Yeah, you show up late. Just when
You
you
get
go
here
in,
late every
with your
Thursday.
coat on and your hat.
Do you not
Mr. Tom pays him more. That's what it is, mate. Mr. Tom pays him more.
I start off with
Mr. Tom's
my
check's clear.
iPad.
You know what? One thing I can't believe I'm seeing is Lonzo saying, "Let him talk, Gary." FFS.
Yeah, right.
What the world is up
Jeez.
with the world today when Lonzo's on your side?
It's the truth.
Come on, Ray. Let me speak. And I still have to prove you wrong really quick. Which one do you want me? Do you want to hear of a game or how you're totally wrong?
Pull up a chair, everybody. Tony,
We'll go for
everybody, it's
option
Tony
B.
time.
Okay.
pull up a chair, everybody. Sit
Tony
comfortably.
take a hot take.
Tony
from
is
Tony.
about to speak.
Ray, you have Liverpool. Their team's valued at 921 million. You got Arsenal that's at 1.12 billion. You got City that's valued at 1.21 billion. So how much better players do we need? We need a $2 billion worth of fucking players.
So you're saying the value of the Man City squad is roughly equal to the value of Arsenal's squad? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's not far off.
Based on transfers?
Based on just market value.
From Transfermarkt, which is
It doesn't matter, Ray. It's come out about the same. Everybody, general consensus on what.
See, now Lonzo is not on your side anymore.
yeah.
I know it wouldn't last long.
But
just
what
turned.
pissed me off? What pissed me off
That's-
about the game, Ray? We finally go to a back
Sports
three.
Michael.
We finally go to a back three.
Yeah.
You have an option to play fucking Zinchenko finally in the midfield with a back three with plenty of protection. But no, you play Tomiyasu as a fucking attacking midfielder. What's the better option, Ray? Zinchenko that is proven he can go forward, or Tomiyasu that's a good defender going forward?
Ray
Which one do you
he
choose?
understands rainbow logic. Remember? Is that what it's called? Rainbow logic?
No,
Is that coming back? Is that coming back?
that's right. That would be what Ray's is, but it's Lego logic. But
Oh, Lego logic.
Lego
sorry.
logic.
Ray's the one that likes
I'll
rainbows.
just say 1 minute. Hang on, 1 minute. Alonso's going. Just let him talk, Gary, for fuck's sake. And then 5 minutes later, Alonso's going. This
You know what? He
shit is making my
finally
head hurt."
realized what he meant. He finally realized what he said, and he was like, "Oh no, I should have said that."
Now he's
I
saying
don't
this
like
shit is
this
making
guy.
my head hurt.
But
Hmm.
Ray,
Big Lebowski.
Ray,
Careful what
how
you
much
wish for,
more do
Lonnie.
you want us to?
He's going after your clothes now, Tony.
So how much more money do we have to spend to make this club being able to win, even though every player on the team has been
You know what
signed by the
you know why the
manager?
value of our team is so high, Tony? You know why? Can you tell us why?
We buy high.
We
Right.
buy high, and there's lots of value. You got
We've got
Saliba,
Saliba, we've got
Gabriel.
Gabriel, we've got Erdegaard, we've got Rice,
So
we've got Saka, we've
we've
got Martinelli.
appreciated.
Those
Yeah.
players are young, up and coming players, and their
Yeah.
Well,
value
I've
pretty
appreciated it,
high.
right? We just spent
Yeah.
a fuckload of money in a market.
No, I think
The
what
value
Gary
is on
said
their
is right.
good players,
Yep.
Tony, and
Yep.
the potential that they are worth in the future to future said teams is a lot. That's why. The problem is we've got Nketiahs and Cedrics and Nelsons and
And
Elneny's
whose fault's
that are
that?
worth nothing.
Arteta needs to shave his hair to unleash his inner Guardiola.
Mm.
Ray.
Yeah.
When they hadn't played for or just like 2 games each, probably, if even that much, why do you sign Cedric and Mari for another 4 years? Why
Now
do
you're
you
going
sign?
back like from
Why
days.
do you?
Thank
No,
you, Gary. Thank you.
Why are we
How the
going back
fuck
to
are you
those
to prove a
days?
You asked
point?
for it.
Mari's not
You
even
got it.
here anymore. I didn't ask
How-
for this. I thought I
You
wanted
have to
keep
have
him
a
off.
data set.
Ray
History
said
channel.
no. Everybody wants to hear Tony. I'm like, no, they don't.
2024, Tony.
This is going to be longer than an
Ray's
Undertaker
talking about
entrance.
getting better players, but this motherfucker's the one that keeps signing them
Whoa.
and extending them.
Why are you pointing
Eddie
at
and Kendia could have left.
Lawrence like that? Lawrence
What
has
about-
nothing
Eddie
to
and
say.
Kendia could have left, but guess what?
The
He
Chronicle
wanted to
says
stay
out.
He wanted to stay at Arsenal because Arteta offered him 100,000 a week. Has
Just
has
because there's
Eddie
no
proven that he's £100,000 a week player, Ray, this season or last
What?
season?
what?
Has your favorite Arsenal striker, our only striker, Eddie Nketiah, has he earned 100,000 a week for the last 2 years?
I think he checks his balance every day, and thanks his lucky stars, he's got 100,000
And again, Ray,
every week.
with a choice, would you extended Cedric for 4 years,
No,
Holding for 4 years,
hindsight.
Murray
no.
for 4 years?
But Callum Chambers, we would have, right?
I wouldn't let him go in a winter window where we didn't sell
Stop it,
anybody.
Ray. You know what you're doing.
And he's a utility player.
Stop
All right,
it.
how do we change the?
We sold 2
How do we
academy
change
players,
the
and we
subject
ended
here?
up being doomed because we fucking had injuries.
Tom Cruise. Man, you've got quite a fan club here, Tony. Tom Cruise, the Big Lebowski. What are we doing
boss
wrong
man.
here?
You see Maitland
Big
Niles
boss man.
score that penalty the other day.
What are we doing wrong, Stan?
That man's so cool at taking
Everything.
penalties.
We don't have the drip that Tony has.
We're never going to fucking challenge Arseblog at this rate, are we? Ever?
No.
It's just, no, it's not happening.
No, but does ours blog have a Tony?
Tony is
Man.
our.
You
doesn't
need
have
more
a Tony.
personality
Loan
like
next
me.
season. Put him out
See,
on loan.
life is unfair, says BX. When you're not Tony, life is unfair. Lolo, what's up? What's up, Lolo?
Like you're looking at messages from like 20 hours ago.
You know why?
20 years ago.
You're like the History
Him.
Channel chat room. Like I'm gonna put your message up, and it's like, oh, that's the one I sent you last week.
He's a procrastinator. It's him.
You
Well,
brought him
I don't
on.
have
You let him
anything
come
to
in
do
the
with you fucking
show.
posting people's comments.
I would like to talk about people's comments as well, rather than but Ray. This that.
Your point was totally wrong. So
Liverpool through to Europa to concentrate on the Premier League. No, I think they wanted to have a European final in Dublin.
Fucking hell, it's like fucking Kaiser Soze, isn't it? And like that, he was gone.
Yeah, he was gone. Yeah, but it could be the signal. Could be the signal.
Can we talk a little bit about Gabriel Martinelli, please?
Yeah, go.
Because obviously he's a player that everybody seems to like. You know, he's a very likable young lad. But you look at the numbers that he got for us last season, which I think was something like 15 goals.
Yeah.
And there's 6 games to go, and he's only on 6, which is a bit streaky. It's a word I keep using a lot lately. Is the word streaky. And I think what we need, I think, and I think what Martinelli really needs is when we do go back into the window, whoever that manager may be, according to some people, but when we do go back into the window, we definitely need to be bringing in a wide attacker. And I'm not talking about an understudy, a number 2 string. I'm talking about somebody of the quality of like a Rodrigo or a Rafinha, someone who is able to give someone like Gabriel Martinelli a run for their money, who may be even a better player than Martinelli, and Martinelli has to work harder to maintain his place. And I think that maybe he's lacking that a little bit, because even when Trossard comes in for him and starts, he doesn't set the world alight. And you don't look at it and think, oh, how's Martinelli going to get back into the team? You're actually thinking, like, when's Martinelli coming back into the team? Because, again, Trossard is very streaky when he starts for us. Coming off the bench, he seems to have the bit between the teeth, and it's a different player. Yeah, I saw that one earlier. But I do think that that's something that we need. We need to have not competition for Martinelli, someone who's even actually as good to start and can hit the ground running, and it's going to help him up his game.
He has been.
Yeah, the other thing is as well, we have a similar problem with Martin Odegaard, because Martin Odegaard is seen as that sort of central midfield creative player. And I think that when Teabag was purchased, he was probably considered as someone that could come in and cover for Odegaard in that area when he was injured or needed a rest or what have you, rotation. And we're seriously lacking anybody that can come in and give us what Martin Odegaard can, or anything near it. And his numbers compared to last year are still a little bit off. I think he's got 10 goals now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Odegaard,
he got 15 last season. He may get another 5 goals, who knows? But again, we're lacking in that competition there. Someone that can, come in and there's no drop off.
Yeah. It's
well,
not
the
being
the thing that you have to also remember is Trossard is kind of, to some degree, maybe made up for the lack of goals from
and Havertz. We have
Trossard has 13 total goals in all competitions, and
really, is it that many?
Yeah, and Jesus has Gabriel has Martinelli has 8. So,
wow.
Unless so.
But Gary, what is happening with Martinelli? Can we put our finger on that this season?
I think it's the same kind of thing that we saw a little bit from Saka. Like, when he, after people know what he's good at, they just have answers for it, and he has to change his game around a little bit and figure out how to make it work. Plus, he's been injured. He's been in and out of the lineup. That's probably hurt him a little bit as far as like when he finally starts to make a little bit of improvement from week to week, he's out. So he's starting all over again when he comes back in again. So I think the injuries haven't helped him. He's not as durable as you would want him to be.
Our injuries affecting us more than we think this season in terms of players sitting on the bench that may not be able to contribute correctly. Properly.
Yeah, I mean, Wilson Rose is number 1, right? He can't get off the bench, right? Because
he's been fit for 18 months, though. That's the thing, isn't it? We
has?
feel like he's been injured for.
We know that. We don't know that, though, Stan, right?
18 months.
Who's Smith Rowe or
Smith Rowe? But he hasn't featured. It feels like he's had a longer injury, right? But if you actually look at it, he's been healthy for quite some time. For whatever reason, he hasn't got a look in.
Well, shame on Arteta for not using these players more and more, because we have, as Gary said, we have a lot of players in the danger zone, as Arsene Wenger used to say.
No, I mean, he, like Emile Smith-Rowe, right? He had knee injuries, so he was out for, he missed, what is it? That's about 8 Premier League games in a row. Then he was out again later on for a bruise on the ankle. I mean, he's played games in between that. That's Milsuf Rowe. So, like, he played. Let's see. He played 2 games. He played against that team in Bournemouth for a couple minutes, and then he didn't play against City. Then he played against Chelsea and Sheffield United. Then he got a knee injury. Then he played off and on from then on. Then he played 2 games against Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest on the bench for Liverpool, out for the West Ham match with an injury. I mean, the man just back, can't get a consistent run of games. And,
Well,
he's struggling.
Hang on, Gary, what's your feelings on Emil Smith Rowe? Do you think that there's still a place for him in our squad, or do you think we've outgrown him, or he's not good enough, or what have you? What's your feelings on him?
I think we can't. The injuries, I think, for him are deterrent. Like, we need players that are available now. And if they're not, like, when they are available, they need to.
Does he suffer with the same problems when he gets injured? Has he got like a reoccurring problem, or is it always something fucking different?
Well, no. I think the first set of injuries were on his knee, and then the latest one was on his ankle. But I just think he hasn't fully recovered. So not only 2 sets of injuries this year, but he just can't stay. I think it's.
Do you think he stays?
You know what? I don't think. I think I would rather take a chance with an academy player.
Do you think he'll stay? Do you think he'll be playing for Arsenal next season? Or do you think he's going to go? What do you even think?
I think he should go somewhere.
I think he stays.
I think he should go for.
Do you think he'll get like anywhere near the 35 million that Aston Villa
we didn't take the. We didn't be the same thing like in Nketiah. Should have taken the money for Nketiah. Nope. Should have taken the money for Maitland-Niles. Right? Remember that? Maitland-Niles, they wanted to sell him.
20.
Nope, we kept him, and he walked for free. So, says a lot.
I think we can't turn our noses up at decent fees anymore.
We've been doing it consistently.
Yeah,
we did it again in Nketiah. We didn't want to sell him.
Look at Gary talking about the past.
I think Emil Smith Rowe, that's pertinent this time. I think Emil Smith Rowe has a place to play, a place in the squad to play. I think there's the shitbag 6. I think we could still formulate a shitbag 6 without Emil Smith Rowe in there.
He's no better than Jack, and he's more injury prone than Jack was. So.
Right, but there's 6 worse players than him in the squad right now that could be moved on.
Ray.
Well, but his potential could be one of the reasons why we sell him. Because he is a young player.
We have enough players with injuries to do that, right? You got Tomiyasu, you got Zinchenko.
But but we're talking about our attackers, right? You got Vieira, you got Milsuf Rowe.
Nelson.
Always injured. Nelson, I don't think Nelson's been injured at all.
I know, but we're talking about players we could potentially.
No, but he's not an injury issue. He's just he's a player that definitely should be gone, right? Because he's not injured and he's not playing. So what's going on?
Do you know what he should be doing, Gary? Depending on the form of Saka and Martinelli, he should be playing at least 30 minutes a game.
Who's that?
Nelson,
because
you're reducing our ability to pick up points, then, Tony, by doing that.
What? Well, you mean playing him 30 minutes a game?
Mm-hmm.
How is that?
You take Martinelli or Saka off. You're reducing.
What did you get from them in the Villa game?
You're reducing the amount of goals that we can potentially score.
You're talking about the games that we lost. What about the games where we're winning?
Yeah, but we don't win the games if you.
We won a lot of games this year, Ray. Like 20+ games. When did you see Nelson come on in any of those games?
I haven't.
Exactly. He's on the bench for most of them. I'm looking at his stats right now. He's on the bench for every one of the wins.
Who's that?
Nelson.
Yeah, he's always on the bench, man.
He's on the bench for a lot of our wins. Doesn't come in. Right.
And do you know what he did coming off the bench, Ray? 2 goal contributions straight off. So
think about it. He was on the bench for the Crystal Palace game. Right.
What's going on? Let's get back to Martinelli.
He was on the bench for Sheffield United. 6 goals. Are you telling me you can't get in? Like, we score 5 and 6 goals, the man can't get in.
Yeah.
What's going on?
He has his
there?
own seat on the bench. Players don't sit in that chair because they know that's Reese's chair. Reese always sits in that
Like, you
chair.
know what? That's the thing.
He's got a nice plaque.
He should be able to get minutes.
He's got his
in
bum
games
groove in it
where
and
we win
everything. It's like his
Here's his
5-0,
Reese.
It's
right?
probably
5 and
it
6
probably
nil.
has his name embroidered on the like seat cushion or something.
Stan, you're forgetting Martinelli's been injured twice. The left side is a revolving door, and Arteta's played slow build-up play for 20 games, which negates his and all of our attacking.
Yeah, good
attacking
You know
point.
what the most damning
points.
thing about Arteta is, Ray?
Why
What?
is it only Ray that gets to chat with you?
Well, all of you do, but
No, you know, there's no change it now just because I said it.
I'm directing it towards Ray.
I'm the
because
host.
Ray thinks that we can go spend another $1 billion on players and finally be able to win.
You know we don't spend $1 billion on players, Tony, right? That's how much they're worth,
I just think we
He's
need
been
previous
that much
comment,
since
though.
he's been there, Gary.
not how much they.
which this one or the previous one?
Previous one, you know, about Martinelli and people on the left and different left backs.
Revolving door.
I do get that, but like Gabriel Jesus, I'm going by the eye test, and I see Martinelli taking shots. That's nothing to do with like a left back. He's getting himself into positions. He's taking shots. They're not going in.
We need them. We need them to go in.
They're not going in. It's the same with Jesus. And I think
We're
who was it
running
who
out of
said earlier?
daylight here. We got 6 games to go in this season. We're running out
Someone
of
said
daylight.
much
We
earlier in
need,
the chat
we need
box.
Martinelli firing again.
Someone
need
said
Martinelli.
much earlier in the chat box, and I think it was BX, and it's something that I've mentioned on this broadcast about Gabriel Jesus playing more deeper, maybe in that left 8 role. Doesn't mean that he can't come forward, but I have to agree with that because he does everything in that area of the pitch. He's tenacious. He goes in for tackles. He does win the ball. He's quick on the turn and releases the ball. And I actually think that his attributes with the way that this system plays at the moment, I'd like to see him playing in that role rather than playing through the middle because he seems to have more success in that area. And then the switch with that is Havertz. Havertz playing through the middle seems to have more of a contribution and an influence in the game than when he's playing in that role. So I think there is something there. I do.
You know, I saw there was a video that showed Havertz playing the 8, and he plays the 8 in such a way that he's always going to be on, going
On the
through the
other
channels
things.
on that right hand
Yeah.
side, just coming in
Yeah.
a little bit later than usual. But
Yeah.
I mean,
He
there's,
does,
you know what? That's the thing. Jesus could play the 8. Zinchenko can play the 8 essentially.
No.
Arteta won't do it because you know what? He's
Hilarious.
not looking at it from a football's perspective,
Well,
right?
That's what was so fucked up about Tuesday, though, is that
Wednesday.
you finally go with a back 3, but you put Tomiyasu in as an attacking midfielder.
I thought somebody said this already. Was that you, Ray, who said that?
It was me. It
Oh.
was
No, it was me. I said that.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Well, and Ray's probably mentioned it since I sent it in the DMs. But it's absolutely maddening, though.
You love
It's
it,
like-
3. You love the 3 at the back.
I love the 3 at the back, and I love the idea of Zinchenko attacking from that role. But Tomiyasu did it instead.
Tomiyasu is a good attacking fullback as well.
Can I just say to what BX just said there about Jesus is Lacazette all over again, just with injuries? He isn't. He is in the sense that he does come deep, very, very deep. But as I've mentioned before, he seems to find his way back into the box and gets into great goal-scoring opportunities, whether it's a header or what. He never fucking puts it away. That's what's annoying. If he had that pit to his game, City would never have sold him. They wouldn't, because he's doing all that shit in the deep areas, which is like, wow, that's really helpful. And he's got the legs to get into the box, but then he can't score. That's the frustration. That's the frustration.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand how. I didn't play football a lot, but the one thing I remember is if I had a chance to score, I put my foot through that thing, and I just find like this isn't just an Arsenal thing. This is every team thing. Players in front of the box not being able to put their foot through the ball. It's just like you know, missed opportunities because of that. I don't know. For me, it's a mindset. Your players got to go into the box thinking they're going to score, and our players are thinking about the next pass and about the next touch and how to break down a team. No, just take the shot. All right. Whenever we don't think about it, whenever we just take the shot one time,
take the shot.
Happen. Shoot,
I love
man.
that. I always remember that one with Gary. Take the shot.
Yeah.
Bond, take the shot. This is the thing about Arsenal that we need to start rewriting history a little bit. Our record and our heritage in European football is not great. Red John said Arsenal are a big enough club where we don't win major silverware. Someone needs to be sacked, be it the manager, CEO, technical director, or player. And many people have said it's the heritage of Bayern Munich that got them through. It's the knowledge of European
like that,
football.
Alex Ferguson would never have happened. How long did it take Alex Ferguson to start?
5 years.
Yeah.
I hope you're right, and that's what happens next year. It just clicks, Because
I think
it needs to click. Like next year, if we don't have a trophy and he's still here, he's gonna have to go. I mean, I don't know. I think 6 years is a good show of whether or not the progress and the program is gonna work, right?
Yeah. Stan, do you think if Alex Ferguson is in football in 2024 and he struggled to win something for 4 years, do you think he has the success that he had in the 90s? Probably not, in my opinion.
No,
he would have been sacked.
Yeah, right? Probably, because football's changed a little bit now. I think that we were quite lucky that there was a point when Mikel Arteta could have already been sacked. It was close. It was getting close.
First 18 months
for a while. But I do think that sometimes clubs are a little bit too knee-jerk. The last thing, the reason I never wanted Unai Emery sacked from Arsenal, and I'll say it again for those that are new to this channel, the reason why I didn't want him gone wasn't because I thought he was the second coming when it came to managers. But my biggest fear was that after Arsene Wenger and we bring in another manager and we got rid of him quickly, my fear was that we would have gone on the same journey as Man United are on now. A managerial merry-go-round where you just can't find the right guy, and then you're knee-jerking and you're changing, and the next guy comes in and he doesn't like what the previous guy done and he wants to rip all of that down and start again. And you're constantly in this rebuild. You never get to finish anything because there's always a new manager who's got his own ideas and he wants to do it in his own fashion, his own image. So I didn't want Unai Emery to get sacked because I didn't want us to go into that mode. Irrespective of how tough it was sometimes with Unai Emery, I felt that we had to go through the pain to get to maybe something a bit good. And now I feel the same way with Mikel Arteta. The difference being that Mikel Arteta is far more entrenched with his tentacles in Arsenal than Unai Emery ever has. Unai Emery never had the backing of the owners. He told them what he wanted when it came to players, and they went out and got him the complete opposite and delivered it to him. So I just don't want to see us. Everything about this club right now is is the image of Mikel Arteta, whether that's good or bad. And I just think that we have to go with it for a little bit more longer. Otherwise,
I think it's a good thing. Stan, I think it's a good thing. We saw clips of Mikel Arteta being the coach for Man City. Every time they come up against Arsenal, and City scored a lot of goals on Arsenal, Pep and everyone else is celebrating. Arteta's not celebrating. And Pep said it in a press conference. That guy, he loves Arsenal. That guy, Mikel Arteta. He never celebrated.
So Ray, how long has he been Arsenal's manager?
5 years now, right? 5 years this December.
Incorrect, right? He was hired as coach, then he was promoted to manager. He should have stayed as a coach.
Damn you, Tony, with those trick questions.
He's a coach. He isn't a manager. He doesn't manage the games. He got outdone by Emery by a million times.
He got outdone by
Tuchel. Went out there.
Let's have it right.
He went out there and double teamed. He double teamed Odegaard, and the game was over. we didn't have any chances at all in that second half. We
Can
were
I say
done
something as
for
well?
after they
Just-
changed tactics.
Just looking at what Red Jones said there about world-class players can play any style of football, regardless of the manager. I would say, look at somebody like Willian. For whatever reason, Willian just could not thrive in the environment at Arsenal. I don't know why.
Yeah.
His time at Arsenal was a very huge disappointment, apart from his first game and his last game. But everything in between those, that bookend was terrible.
Yeah,
But he goes to Fulham, which is not as a big a club as Arsenal, probably doesn't have as better facilities behind the scenes and all of that sort of support going on. But for whatever reason, this environment is more conducive to get the best out of Willian.
Is this one okay for Syria?
Sorry?
Bigger cup for coffee.
Okay.
So I'm just saying that, sometimes it's about the environment. It doesn't mean like you can just plug and play. Oh, he's really good in that team, so he'll go to that team and he'll do exactly the same
And look,
thing.
Unai Emery, maybe he's a better fit for Aston Villa as well. The way Unai Emery
Exactly.
is
It's
playing.
about environments and stuff and
team.
personalities. And he seems to have the backing of the ownership at Aston Villa, which means that they trust him. For whatever reason, the ownership at Arsenal obviously didn't trust Unai Emery because he told them what he wanted and they went out and bought the complete opposite.
Right. Hey, Stan, can you ask Tony that question from Lawrence or from Alonso? Because Alonso needs an answer from Tony.
Tony, why are we obsessed about why are you obsessed your narrative that Arsenal play three at the back? Is this because you still think Ben White is a centre back?
he played as a center back on Tuesday. They had a back three. You could see
Is
three
he a,
people
is he a
across
bad
the-
is he a bad right back, Tony?
Tony's right. They did do that.
Yeah, but is Ben White a bad right back?
He's not a great one.
He can play as a centre back.
Is he
Has
a
he been
bad right
converted?
back?
Is he now considered a right back? Do you know what I mean? For example, if you'd bought FIFA 2 years ago, Ben White probably, like the position, it probably just said CB. Now, probably in FIFA 24, it probably says CB stroke or backslash RB.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah,
probably
that's what I was gonna
considered.
say.
He's probably considered now. I think Ben White is considered to be able to play two positions.
Right.
No, I mean,
But
Tony,
he's
you're trying
still
to.
a better
There are a lot
center
of
back
right
than
backs.
he is a right back.
Tony, you're trying to say there are a lot of right backs that are out there better than Ben White. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yep.
Like, name them.
Trent.
Defensively, no.
Yeah.
Offensively, damn right he is, but no.
Bradley's pretty good, right? The kid.
You think he's better than Ben White? You bringing up Bradley, your favorite? He
You
wears the
asked.
red.
No, you
Bill?
asked.
That's why you brought him up. I get it.
Carl Walker.
You're killing me tonight, Gary. You're killing me.
I know. Ben White is one thing. I think he's a good right back.
Slaying me.
I don't think we're hurting for a right back.
I like Ben
Well,
White.
How about
I really like
Thomas
him.
Partey? He was a right
Partey's
back at
not
the
a
start
right
of the
back.
season.
Oh,
Not a right
fucking
back at
hell.
all. Not even
season.
Oh
close.
yeah, ridiculous, ridiculous.
That's because of
That was
Gabriel
ridiculous.
and the Saudi.
I have to agree with Red John. I have no idea what that was all about. It was
Yeah.
the biggest load of
Everybody
cod
says, you
wallet.
know what? That's not why he got injured. I'm like, dude,
Cod
you
wallet.
have the best six, probably when he's healthy.
He was searching for
you're
that
playing him-
inverted
How
fullback
dare you
stand.
play him out of position when you
Ridiculous.
know he's not? He's a injury
Do that
liability,
shit in preseason then.
right?
Do that
was
shit in
searching-
preseason where you can experiment, right? Use
He
your
was
preseason to dabble.
he was
Don't do it in the league.
experimenting
Don't go through preseason doing it one way, and then
Yeah.
the league starts. You're like, hey, Thomas, shot right back. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Do that. Prepare for it in preseason, right? Don't just do it on the
Gar-
first day.
You don't get many games now in preseason to do that, unfortunately,
Ridiculous.
anymore.
Gary, you recently said something. You mentioned about White sitting there
Davies is a left back.
running up and down the field. That's
Davies
hard
isn't
on
a
your
right back,
body.
he's a left back.
So I think that's why Arteta said, okay, let's do the back three, because you just kind of stay at the back most of it. Because
What?
as a fullback, you're putting so much more mileage running back and forth. When you're tired and injured, that's not good. It's a lot easier to sit back there as center back.
So he
I
played
think
Ben
that's-
White as
Ben
center back.
White played. How many minutes has Ben
Grimaldo.
White played, Tony? Has he had
There you go.
injury concerns that
That's
much
the one.
in the
Grimaldo.
last 2 years? He hasn't.
He has the last few weeks because he got pulled
handled
because of
Ronaldo.
injury.
He's gotten tired,
Okay.
yeah, because you know why? Because
See you on
Timber's
the left
out, and
back.
we don't have anybody to put there. And Tomiyasu's been out, and Zinchenko I think's even been out.
Zinchenko's right back.
Right?
Yeah.
Here's the name for you
think,
at left back. Ali
it's not
handled
that
Ronaldo.
we have players, but once again we're down to fullbacks at some points during the season. That seems to be the way these things work. Kiwior has to play left back, right? That's because of injuries. So it's not on purpose. We had players. You had 4 fullbacks and 2 get injured. It's not good, right? I mean, think about it. The first 4 games of the season, I think we switched the left back 3 times in a row. Injury, red card, all this stuff.
Right.
We just had a little bit of bad luck in that situation.
And some of it's still the lucky shit that happens. It's not
the striker. Yeah, just for the memes. Ben White has established himself as a top 5 fullbacks, probably even top 3. BX Getter.
Right.
Top 3. Yep, Tony.
Why does Arteta still have a job?
Because he's still getting paid. That's why.
He's still employed by the Cronkies.
No, because Smith Rowe came in and the team's fucking form changed. He was a get sacked. They're already looking at managers.
Look, I said earlier in the podcast.
Manager at the time.
Every club. Man City should have a list of managers that they would want to employ if something happened to Pep Guardiola. I think that's just the way clubs have to operate. Let's wrap up a little bit in the Champions League, Tony. I'll give you a chance to speak about the Champions League, rant, do whatever you need to do. But I feel like Thomas Tuchel was Tommy Tuchel had a plan for Arsenal, and he implemented it pretty well. Preyed on our mistakes.
All he did was look at what Villa did and did the same thing.
Not in the first leg, he didn't.
You know what?
No, of course not in the first leg. In the second leg, he's like, "Oh boy, that sounds like a good plan."
It's time for me to hold my hands up, man. I gotta hold my hands up.
Now think about it. The same thing we play Wolves. If they do the same thing,
Michael.
I think I need to hold my hands up. I think this is all my fault. The reason that Arsenal lost this game is actually my fault. Because you remember how I was laughing and mocking and saying that any team that buys Eric Dyer deserves fucking nothing. And,
Stan, I was thinking about you that way, yes.
And he fucking gets the man of the match.
Yeah. And then he's like pretty happy to beat Arsenal. Yeah.
Fuck. It's all my fault.
That's a good shout for a left back right there. I know he's a good left back.
Who?
The Wolverhampton Wanderers left back. I hope we're not.
There's only one.
Up ahead of
there's only
Saturday.
one. If you're gonna buy a left back, there's only one. Alejandro Grimaldo. That's who it has to be.
Okay. I've heard of him before. Benfica, is it? Benfica?
I think it's at Letty, isn't he?
Maybe. All right, Tony, what were your thoughts on the exit to Bayern Munich and Eric Dyer? And if you want to, you can blame Stan for everything.
I blame Arteta because you sit there, you experiment with a back 3, and you...
Is that Bayer Leverkusen?
Dyer, okay.
And you sit there and you take a defender and you play him as an attacker. Why in the world is Tomiyasu leading the attack instead of Zinchenko from the midfield? It makes no sense. Makes no sense. Unless Zinchenko's that re-injured herself again, that makes no sense at all.
Mm-hmm.
You finally do the smart thing, since you still want your fullbacks up there attacking. You switch White back there, like I still said. I think it's because of the injury that he ended up back there. Less running.
Could be because he was taken off the last game. You know, he's probably a lot of these players are reaching the end of the season here, tired.
It's not the end of the season, right? It's that they're played in every competition.
Yeah.
They all got lots of miles.
I mean, it's kind of the same
resume.
thing. End of the season, playing in every competition, they're tired. It's kind of the same thing.
but
right?
usually you rotate in the cups, right? We didn't. Every game we had at least 5 starters out there. Then the other 5 starters would come on as substitutions.
Where did
So
we
therefore,
lose?
you're playing your regular team. Minus
Where
the
did we
goalkeeper.
lose this? Where did we lose this tie? Was it in the first leg, Tony?
Why are we always talking about 2-legged affairs with me around? Ticks, right?
Not intentional.
I think it was the first one. I don't think.
Tony, sometimes though, when we play right, when we get into attacking positions in the opposition third, we have almost like 5, sometimes 6 players lined up. Yeah, and we don't play with 6 strikers. Sometimes Tomiyasu, a lot of the time, is one of those 5 or 6 that's up there in that line. Because
but not like he was.
And then if you look behind them, there's usually 2 players followed by 1. That's a formation when we go into attack. And there are times, you are right, there have been times where you could stop, you could pause the game on your remote, and Tomiyasu looks like a number 9. I've seen it. I've spoken about it on other podcasts as well. So you are right, but it's the way that we play in such a fluid way that we bring a lot of our players come into the attack to give options. It's
And
not
Tomiyasu.
Do you know what I mean? And Tomiyasu is one of them.
He
comes up,
was
he's right up there. He does.
in December.
You can pause times when he looks like
Yeah.
If you never hadn't been watching the game and I showed you this and you've never seen it before and I paused it, you'd be like, so who's that Japanese guy playing at number 9?
I think when we played FC Lons, he was inverting. He was a right back who inverted into midfield and had one of his best games for Arsenal.
Right,
against
it's
FC
called
Lons.
a wing back. I don't care if they go to the left or to
You can
it.
call
to
it
the outside or
inverting. You can
inside.
call it wing back. I'll call it inverting. Whatever you want to do. Red John is correct here. We'll never be in the position we were when we had that Invincibles team. We had quite a lot of World Cup winners in that team.
But
Yeah.
Ray, if you want to attack from the fullback position, why don't you just play a back 3? You're more defensively sound, and you got like 6 guys pressing.
Mhm.
Why not do that?
I don't know. I think you're right.
And he finally did it this week. And if I'm attacking, I would a lot rather have Zinchenko in there than Tomiyasu.
Yeah, look,
it doesn't. Well, going back to the documentary, right? It's like Arteta's like, this is the way we're gonna play.
He's like, why do I do this?
He's there. He's very set in his ways.
I should
Right?
be getting paid for this shit.
It doesn't matter if you have Saka back there as right back, or
What?
fucking, I don't know, Elmer Fudd back there. It doesn't fucking matter. Arteta's asked the same things out of him.
Tomiyasu was played for his defense, not attacking Tony.
He was fucking attacking the whole game, right? He wasn't sitting back there because there was 3 center backs. 3.
Right. We don't need a striker. Do you guys forget Win the dog? We can play Win the dog up front, right?
I like that they got a dog. I just don't like the name is cheesy. They should call him like Dennis or something like that. That would have been better. Win. Who fucking calls their dog Win?
Yeah.
That's fucking poor dog.
So our European adventure ends at the quarterfinal stage. Many of us would have taken that at the beginning of the season, probably on the face of it. But once you get into a position against Bayern Munich and the chances we had, we all feel very underwhelmed about that performance.
Right, but
over
pretty much
both games.
after our form the first 6 weeks, we were the 3rd pick to win the Champions League. We virtually stayed there the entire season.
Yep.
Known as one of the best teams in Europe, but we still fucked it up against the worst Bayern team that's been in there in probably almost 2 decades, Ray. And do you know why? Because they broke their fucking
Look at that.
structure.
Freeze frame. The old Bill would want to see that picture. Lawrence serving up.
They
What?
never. Do you know what Byron never
you
did?
like in the middle of a drug deal.
Ray, Byron never
Yeah.
spent more than $250,000 a week on a player. They broke for bank
Kane.
for Mane. Then you sit here. The players are older now. It used
Yeah.
to be a good mix of young players, middle-aged players, and experienced players. And now it's just experienced players, pretty much. And now they're looking at going backwards to Nagelsmann again because he's good with youth players. But Tommy Tickle failed. I don't know why.
Trademarked.
I don't know. Yep, Stan's trademark. It's why I still call him Tommy Tickle because it makes me laugh every time I hear it.
It tickles you. My neighbors had a dog that they called Dog. Reminds me of The Walking Dead right there.
Right.
We would have got into the final if we had got into the other side of the semi-final draw. Yeah, I
I
mean,
had a friend. He had a dog called Keith.
but we also had a very reasonable group. We topped the group. We got a great draw with Porto. We got past Porto, and we got a great draw, admittedly, against Bayern Munich. We just were not able to take advantage of it, and that's a little bit galling, to be honest. Stan is thinking back to his Marbella days with Tony going on like this.
I told you, Brownie, I've paid that bar tab. So whatever you're hearing is bullshit. My tab was paid.
What does everyone think if we had to play either Dortmund, PSG, or Barcelona? I reckon we'd be going to the finals. I think Dortmund put in a good performance against Atletico. We might have struggled against Dortmund. I'm reminded by what Stan said last Thursday, is that he admitted that Gary is onto something in terms of there are levels to this thing, and maybe we are not good enough for a Champions League semi-final at this stage in our development.
I'm Ray.
Arsenal are making us wait. Tony.
Just a few years ago, Spurs finished 1 point ahead of us, got to the Champions League final, and they had no better of a team we had. We probably still had the
two
better
world-class
team.
players at least on that squad and a world-class goalkeeper. Right. So
there might be something
to say all of what you just said doesn't carry that much weight. They actually had a world-class striker. They had a world-class winger in Son. They had a really good goalkeeper. Right, and they actually played.
I don't care what you say, Gary.
It makes a difference, Tony. That's the difference.
Saka's world class. I don't care.
He's not world class.
Yes, he is.
Salah is world class. He's nowhere near Salah. So don't even try that. Don't even go there.
Why are we talking?
I'm a Saka fan, but he's not Salah.
Him.
What?
How's he not?
Why?
How is he not?
Can I say something?
Tony,
yeah.
Why are we talking? Why are we talking about Tottenham?
Him. Tony.
Because they got to the finals.
Lawrence, that's your friend.
That
that's
was no better than us.
Remember?
Lawrence,
you are a fan of Tony. It's your fault that he's here.
You don't fucking come in here and start fucking talking about
Ray
Tottenham.
Is to Liverpool as Tony is to Tottenham.
It's not my fault that they actually competed in the Champions League.
You're still talking about it.
I think there might be something to this. In general terms, if you're more dynamic and more attack-minded, you might be more suited to the Champions League.
Where did Chelsea finish when they won the Champions League, right? It's not
1-0.
One, it's coaching. Two, it's the players. All of that combination, they had it. We haven't had that. We haven't had that yet. We don't have an experienced manager, right? And we don't have the players that can execute what he wants.
Do do you think there's a Man City podcast somewhere? Maybe it's called the Man City Fan Circle, where they're arguing about how they're in the fucking quarterfinals and two of their best players asked the manager to come off because they were tired.
And couldn't take the penalties.
Yeah.
They
And
could
so
not
therefore
take
weren't
penalties.
available for those penalties.
And
Yes, Stan, there is a Man City podcast. It's called the 115 Charges FC.
probably is, Lawrence. Probably is. So, that's the Champions League. Anyone else got anything to say about the Champions League? Adventure is over. That's
Why
what
did we play in the Champions League?
Yeah, we got £91 million from it. Not bad.
Yes, we would all prefer to be in the semi-final right now. Looking forward to a Atlanta tie against Real Madrid, but
Mikel Arteta has
thing
made
I-
us one of the best 8 teams in Europe. I mean, that's not bad, is it? I mean, we're not in the top 10. We're in the top 8.
yeah,
I mean, usually when you do charts and stuff, they always look at the top 10. We're in the top 8. So
that's what seed were we in the groups? What seed were we? Second? We were second seed.
can't remember.
I think we're behind Sevilla.
I asked this question. It's probably 3 years ago at this point, maybe 2.5 years ago. But I asked, how much is the team spending the money they were? Was their desire to get in the Champions League and get to a format change next year, where you have 8 group games? At one time it was 10. Then the lower teams in the leagues raised hell because it was basically your European Super League was. And that's why the European Super League made their announcement a day before the Champions League vote for this new format,
Mhm.
because they knew it would force their hand and they'd get most of what they wanted.
Yeah.
It's actually a league next year, right? There are no groups.
Oh yeah, I know. But it's like 2. Look at Brownie. I can't mute him. He's unmutable. Even if I muted him, we'd still hear him.
Brownie loves me.
I wake up in the morning and I hear Tony's history lessons in my ears.
You got problems if you're hearing Tony when you wake up in the morning.
It's better than waking up on your bicycle seat.
He went there. All right, listen. We need to talk about Wolves and we need to get out of here. So there's been a nervousness that has creeped into the Arsenal team. I don't think it was just Bayern Munich or Aston Villa that brought it along. It was our own anxiousness. Are we going to be more controlled, more like our old selves on Saturday?
I always go by what I see. It didn't look good.
Didn't look good.
I mean, are we gonna get enough rest? By Saturday? Right? We're gonna get
Saturday evening. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a stat they were talking about, like when Arsenal gets, what is it? I think when they get like less than 4 days. They have like 4 days of rest or less, or something like that.
Thierry Henry's
like-
been talking about it, huh?
Kind of like how their stats dip.
So Aston Villa had 48 hours of less rest.
What are you talking about? What? What are you just bringing up all this nonsense? Who are you talking to?
You Gary, you're meant to. We need all this rest, but we played a team that had half a rest that.
Why does that matter for this conversation? I'm not talking about Arsenal. I'm not
Because it
talking about
doesn't
Villa.
matter, Gary. You're
bringing up Villa. We're talking about Arsenal.
We're seeing history repeat for the third fucking year in a row. This time of a year, we have went to shit. 2 years ago, we lost 6 of our final 11 league games.
I can bring that up for you.
6 of 11.
I think what Tony's saying is right. Is that the Porto game notwithstanding, usually when we have a loss, they come in clumps of 3s with us, don't they? You notice that? We don't just
Yeah.
lose one. Sometimes we get a clump of threes popping in, and I really hope we don't need that shit now.
Especially
No.
this time of the year.
Don't need that now.
Lost 3. So yeah.
There you go. 3 years ago, there's a history lesson for you.
Them clumps, man. Don't like them.
Yep.
I don't think Brownie likes us broadcasting the address either, Stan.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the Wolves match, all right? Because Tony.
Keep putting up Brownie's postal code.
So there you go. No, I just
Blue Peter, Blue Brownie.
Yeah.
Can
That's
you
his
tell us
postcard.
what that says in Welsh,
Go ahead, Gary.
Brownie?
If you can, go ahead,
I
Gary.
don't know. This Tony guy seems to want to
all
talk
right,
about
hold on.
stuff.
All right, go ahead, Gary.
I think the Wolves team is it could be a little scary, you know.
Yeah.
That Kuna guy scares me once, you know.
Cunha, yeah.
I mean, Chris Woods has been playing well. Even you know, I mean, they've been playing all right. I think they've been off and on a little bit of late, but they are quality.
Dangerous.
You know, if they're disciplined like a lot of the teams have been against us, they'll just wait for us to pounce on it. You know.
Decent outfit, man. I love that player that they have playing for them. I think is he Korean? Hwang.
Hwang.
Yeah.
You see the caliber of him? That's what you want in a player like an Eddie Nketiah. Someone like that, you know, that when they make things happen. He starts for Wolves.
Yep.
He could be someone like him, the way that caliber, he could be a really, really good backup or stroke alternative at Arsenal with somebody else who's like maybe the main man. That's what we need. Someone like, you know, players like that. He's a great
And you know what?
example.
For the price, I don't know what he cost, but it's got to be more than what we paid for Nketiah. You know what I mean? I think
probably earns less a week.
Probably less.
I mean,
PSG versus
he didn't. I
Wolves,
don't know
right?
if
He earns less than 100.
I don't think he played last week, so
he's injured. I
he's
think at
still
the minute.
injured,
Yeah.
But good player. I like him.
But you know, if
Neto, another one.
The big question is, can we recover? And if we can, I think we might have too much for Wolverhampton Wanderers. And I think we have to, right? We can't afford to drop any more points.
Can you imagine what this team would be like if we had Isak and Hwang as options for strikers?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're fucking laughing, man.
Yeah.
You're laughing all the way to the fucking.
It makes you
title.
wonder why we don't have a player like that. But it's because we wanted Nketiah, all right? We really wanted Nketiah, right?
Ray, can I? Ray,
yeah, Lawrence. Yeah,
we're playing a team that had no manager until 4 days before the season started, and what Gary O'Neill
done a good job
has done with this team this season.
Like Gary O'Neill was good.
You've got to give him credit, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, and
I'll tell you,
he had a lot of VAR things go against him as well. And he conducted himself very well. I remember that at the beginning of the season. Yeah, it's not going to be easy to go to Wolverhampton Wanderers. There's a little bit of residual stuff from when we beat them 2 or 3 years ago. And let's not forget Martinelli was sent off ridiculously at Wolverhampton Wanderers a couple of years ago. We'll never see a double yellow like that again, ever. If we had Matoma, we would cook on the left wing. Matoma's gone quiet. I mean, he was all the rage.
I thought he's been injured, yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely, Lawrence. Your point is well taken. Alonso, thanks for stopping by. We need to we cannot go meekly into the dead of the night and fade away, as Dylan Thomas, I think, said it. We have to fight till the end here. And we can't.
I thought he was quoting the Kurgan off of Highlander. Think about fading away, right? But sorry.
We cannot fade. Fade
out.
out into the final 6 games of the season like we've done historically last 2 years. Tony?
Dan, you want to take a stab at what Wang's signing fee was?
12 million.
Not too far off.
What was it?
You gonna tell us, or are you just gonna sit there?
Yeah.
Quiz
17.
That's why I put these glasses on. It was 16.7 million euros.
Oh, I said 17. There you go. Not bad.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It's peanuts in today's market.
yeah. Good little punt on him. All right. Gary's had his say, I hope. Stan's had his say. Lawrence had his say. Tony.
You're gonna keep going back to Tony. The man's been talking since he's
All
been
right.
here.
Jump in, Gary. What do you got to say?
Can we end the show before Tony speaks?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
Weighing with 10 Premier League goals this year, Stan.
How many?
10.
Not bad.
Yeah, Kuna's got 11. So, I mean, if you think about it, we only have one player with double-digit goals on our squad, and they've got 2.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean,
Only bad thing about him, he's 28. So that's pretty much it for attackers being in their prime usually.
Tell you what. I've set a timer for 2 minutes, so this show will end in 2 minutes.
all
The
right.
show will self-destruct in 2 minutes, Tony.
So,
I hope
Stan,
so.
seriously, now, what do
Because
you want
my fucking wife is threatening to leave me in 3 minutes. So,
So,
We'll
Stan,
say goodbye, Stan.
Stan, I got a
And then
question.
go.
Like, seriously, what is the hair product you use? I mean, we can just, sabotage these next 2 minutes.
Yeah, bring your chaos. Lawrence,
Can
what
I
was
have
on
a
the menu
final-
tonight,
Yeah.
Lawrence?
Lawrence, what were you eating today?
Yeah.
Meatballs and pasta.
Meatballs and
All
pasta.
right.
X.
What
Oh,
was
you
in
go
that
Shine.
jar? What was in that jar?
Oh, nice.
Shine for me. Well, I don't.
Stan only uses quality stuff, yeah?
Another guys was
Oh,
showing something.
All right.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, right? I know it's getting late,
1 minute left.
so I want to finish.
Yep.
I want to say my final say is taxi for Arteta.
A taxi for Arteta. Tony can
Yeah.
see the timer. I think we are Arsenal Fan Circle, and we represent all sectors of the fan base, and we have the Arteta outer represented here in Lawrence, right? That's fair.
Yeah,
All right.
no one's bigger. No one's bigger than the club. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. Tony, you got 27 seconds.
Yeah. I'll give 27 seconds to Mr. Stan to tell the audience about his new job.
10
Finally
seconds.
getting
Did he ask you to like put his dirty laundry out there?
no. Stan tell
He
the
told you
audience
in
about-
privacy, and now you're like, Stan, can you tell me about the time when you said you did a
Stan
thing
will pro-
behind the
Stan-
thing?
Bye.
Stan will promote. Stan will-
I got this job